Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Wish Infinite. In this video, we are going to learn Matplotlib, the most powerful Python library for creating charts and graphs. By the end of this video, you will be able to visualize any data with beautiful plots. And before proceeding further, I would like to inform you that you can now support my YouTube channel, and for that you can go to my channel Wish Infinite and then click onto this join button. Here you can select the desired option to become a channel member. You can unlock exclusive perks while helping the channel grow. Your support means a lot. And a big thank you to everyone who has taken channel membership. As a token of appreciation, members can see their YouTube profile picture featured randomly on channel homepage here. Also, you can access this complete AI engineering course from playlist tab here. Feel free to save this playlist by clicking onto the save button for quick access in your YouTube playlist section. Now let's continue. So what is Matplotlib? Matplotlib is a Python library used for data visualization. Data visualization means converting numbers and data into charts and graphs so humans can understand pattern quickly. Think about Excel charts. Matplotlib does the same thing but using Python code. This is heavily used in data science, AI and machine learning, data analytics, automation dashboards, and business reporting. Now let's start with Matplotlib installation. So to install Matplotlib, you can use any of the terminal. You can use CMD, PowerShell, or Bash terminal if you are using Windows. And if you are using Mac and Ubuntu, so there also you can use terminal. Apart from that, from the VS Code terminal also, you can do the installation. I usually use VS Code, but it's totally up to you. In the VS Code, you can click onto this terminal and then click onto this new terminal. Here also, you can select CMD, PowerShell, or Bash terminal. For that, you can click onto this arrow icon. And here you would be getting option to select CMD, PowerShell, and Git Bash. For now, I'm using Git Bash terminal. See here, you would be able to see the terminal name. So to install Matplotlib, we just need to give the simple command which is pip install Matplotlib. But before installing Matplotlib, I'm already considering that you have already installed Python. If you don't know how to install Python and how to do the basic setup to run Python, so in that case, you can go to my playlist. Here into this AI engineering course, you would be able to see this install Python video. Apart from this Python installation, you can also watch videos related to the VS Code installation for Python, also Jupyter installation in VS Code. For all these Python related videos, I have also created one separate course. So I would recommend you to watch these 3 videos. Now let's continue with the installation of Matplotlib. So for that, let's go to VS Code and here let's give the command which is pip install and then Matplotlib. Now hit enter. And it will start the installation of Matplotlib. And now Matplotlib is installed. We can start using it. And how to use it? And to start with Matplotlib, let me create one folder inside this Python for AI engineering project. So right click here, click on new folder. And here let's give the folder name as Matplotlib. You can give any folder name. I'm giving these folders name so that it would be easy for you to find different files for different projects. I've kept all the Python related files inside this Python folder, and the same thing I've done for NumPy and Pandas. For the different course videos, you would be able to see different files inside these folders. Now here inside this Matplotlib, let's create one file. So right click here onto this Matplotlib, click onto this new file, and here let's give the file name as Matplotlib tutorial. So Matplotlib underscore tutorial. And now we need to provide the file extension. So for that, we need to give this dot and then ipynb, which is short for IPython notebook, which is the extension for Jupyter notebooks. Now hit enter. And I already told you that I would recommend you to watch these videos. Here I have shown that how to do the VS Code installation for Python and also how to set up Jupyter notebook here. So it's totally up to you if you want to use .py file for your practice purpose, but usually for this AI engineering course, we would be using this Jupyter notebook. Now our notebook file is ready. Let's proceed further. Let me first add a markdown just to show the heading regarding this particular section, which is for introduction of Matplotlib and setup. You can give any heading here. I'm providing these headings so that later when you access this file, so in that case, you would be easily able to identify and understand the code. And here, let me provide double hash here at the start so that it will look like proper heading. So double hash space and then click onto this tick icon. Now let's start using this Matplotlib. For that, let me add one new code cell. And here first what we need to do, we need to import Matplotlib. So to import Matplotlib, what we need to do, we need to provide this import and then Matplotlib. And here if Matplotlib will be installed, then only you will not be seeing any error. If it is not installed, you would be seeing error here. And after this Matplotlib, we need to provide pyplot. So put dot and then pyplot. And here we would be using alias rather than using this big name every time, which is matplotlib.pyplot. So for that, we need to provide this as and then plt. You can give any alias name here, but usually you would be using this plt as a shortcut used everywhere. So now we have imported Matplotlib with the alias which is plt. So every time we would be using plt. Apart from that, we can also import NumPy and Pandas wherever we would be using it. For now, I am just importing Matplotlib. And for these import statement, I am keeping one separate cell so that whenever we are restarting VS Code, so in that case, it would be easy for us just to execute this particular code cell to import all the required libraries. And as I told, for now we are just importing Matplotlib. Now we can click onto this execute cell. It will not show any output, but it will import this matplotlib.pyplot. Let me close this terminal also. Now it is not needed anymore. For installation of Matplotlib, we have used that. Now to plot any graph or chart, we need data. So let's create some data. For that, let me add one more code cell. And here for now, I will create one basic list. So to create the list, what we need to do, we need to use opening and closing of square brackets. Let's give the variable name as x equals to, and to create the list, we need to provide opening and closing of square brackets, and here we can provide data. In this case, I am going to provide some numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And like this, there can be any number. Now let me create one more list. For now, just create it with me. I will tell you how we are going to use it. Hit enter. Let's give the variable name as y equals to, and then opening and closing of square brackets. And here let's provide some numbers like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now our basic data is ready. Think of x as the horizontal positions, y as the vertical values. Now let's draw a graph using this basic data. And on place of this Python list, we can also use NumPy array. We would be seeing that how to use that. For now, I'm just using these basic lists. Now here to draw a graph, what we need to do, we need to use this alias which is plt. Every time, as I told, whenever we want to draw a graph or chart, we are going to use this alias which is plt. So don't get confused every time. Every time whenever you are seeing this plt, which means we are using this matplotlib.pyplot. Now after this plt, we need to provide dot, and then we need to use this plot function. How to use a function that we have already seen multiple times when we learned Python. Now provide opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here for now we would be providing two arguments. One would be value of this list. So for that we can use the variable name x. And the second argument would be value of this particular list. So for that we need to provide comma and then this variable name which is y. Now with this we would be able to plot a graph. As you are using Jupyter, you can directly click onto this execute cell and you would be able to see this graph. But here this text will also appear. So usually we need to use this plt.show just to show the graph. And then opening and closing of round parenthesis. The show is a function which we can use to show the graph. In that case, this particular line will not be appearing. So every time we will draw a graph or chart, and then we would be using this plt.show to show that particular graph or chart. Now let's click onto this execute cell again and see that particular line is gone, and we are able to see our beautiful graph. And what is this graph? So this plot function draw a line chart. Internally, Matplotlib places all x and y points which we have provided here, connects them together and creates a graph automatically. And as I told, this plt.show displays a graph window. So what is happening? Here at the x-axis, we are able to see numbers from 1 to 5, which we have provided here. And at the y-axis, we are able to see numbers from 10 to 50, which we have provided here. And here Matplotlib pairs values together like 1 with 10, 2 with 20, 3 with 30, 4 with 40, 5 with 50, and so on. Which means they are in pair. So this 0th index of this list x is in pair with the 0th index of this y list. So for x value of 1, y value is 10. And similarly for x value 2, y value is 20. And like this it is creating a line chart. It is very basic graph which I have created. I provided two lists, one for the x-axis, one for the y-axis, and then we have used this plt.plot to draw a line chart by providing arguments which is for list x and list y. And then we have used this plt.show to show the graph. And a very common beginner mistake is forgetting plt.show. Without it, graph may not appear in some environments. If you are using .py file, in that case, without using this plt.show, you may not be seeing the graph. And here one more thing to remember, these both lists or array which you are creating should have same number of items. Because Matplotlib pairs values position by position. If length of these two lists or array do not match, in that case you would be getting error. Here once you get this graph, you can click onto this copy button to copy it to clipboard. Here you would be able to see it into the clipboard. You can also click onto this expand image option. Apart from that, you can also click onto this save icon to save this particular graph. Here you can provide the file name with .png extension. Once you will save it, you can use it as the PNG file. Apart from this save option, you can also save it with the help of code. So for that, what we need to do, after plotting our graph, which we are doing here, we need to hit enter. And here we need to provide plt dot and then save fig, which is our function name. And then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here we need to provide one argument, which would be a file name with file extension. So as the string we need to provide it. So here you can provide single quotes or double quotes. And in between we need to provide the file name dot extension. Here we are going to use .png extension. So let's provide file name as my underscore plot .png. You can provide any name here. It's totally up to you. Now let's click onto this execute cell. And now what happened? It has created our graph and then it has saved our graph with this name myplot.png. So at the same location where your Python file is there, in our case we have notebook file, we would be able to see this graph. So see, file with the same name got created, myplot.png. Open it and you would be able to see the same graph. Now this was very basic concept that how to import the Matplotlib. Here we have created just sample data and then we have used this plot function to draw graph for this particular data. After that we have saved it and shown it here onto the output section. And here as I told, we can use NumPy arrays on place of these Python lists. What is the advantages of using NumPy array that I've already explained in my NumPy related video. Now let's proceed further with the next section, which is line chart. The basic example of line chart we have just seen into the VS Code. Now we would be seeing it in detail. A line chart is used to show trends over time. Example, temperature changes across days. Stock prices, website visitors, student marks over years. Line charts are perfect when you want to see increase, decrease, trends, peak and drops. Now that is enough of theory. Let's see the practical example. Let's go to VS Code here. And here this time we would be creating data using NumPy array rather than using Python list. But it's totally up to you. For your practice, you can use Python list also. And to use NumPy array, first we will have to import NumPy. So for that, I will use this first code cell only so that it would be easy for us to execute all the import statement together. Hit enter here and here let's provide import the NumPy. And here rather than using this whole NumPy, we would be using NP. So for that, we need to provide alias. So here let's provide as and then NP. And now let's click onto this execute cell again so that we would be able to use this NumPy. Now let's scroll down and first let me add one heading. So for that, let me click onto this markdown, provide double hash and then line chart. Press Alt Control and enter. So now our heading is ready for this particular section, which is line chart. Now let me add one more code cell. So let's click onto this code and here let's first create our data. This time we are going to take example of temperature changes across days. Let's create data for that. So first I will create one variable with the name days equals to, and then as I told, we are going to use NumPy array. So for that we would be using this np.array. So with this NumPy we get one function which is array. And here we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis, then opening and closing of square brackets. So this is the argument which we need to provide to this array function, which is a list. And here we can provide our data. So for each day I will provide one number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now let's create temperature data. Hit enter. Let's give the variable name as temperature equals to, and again np.array, opening and closing of round parenthesis. Then for the list, opening and closing of square brackets. And here let's provide some temperature values. like 22, 25, 20, 28, 29, 30, 27, 24. Just make sure you are providing same number of items into both the NumPy arrays. So here we have provided 7 items, and here also we need to provide 7 items which we have already provided. If you want, you can add space after each comma so that our data will look properly. Here also you can do the same. And as I told, for the practice purpose, you can also use Python list. Just to show you both the ways, I've used list already. Now I'm using NumPy array. Now here let's create basic line chart. So for that, what we need to do, again we need to use this plt, which is alias for matplotlib.pyplot. Then we need to provide this dot. And what is the function name? We have just seen it is plot. So after this dot, provide this plot. And here we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis. And then we need to provide 2 arguments. First argument would be horizontal values, which is our days. Then provide comma. And then we need to provide the second argument, which will be for the y-axis. So here let's provide temperature. You can copy paste these variable names so that we do not have any typo error. Now it will plot our graph. And just to show the graph, what we need to do, we need to provide this plt.show. And then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's click onto this execute cell and see it is drawing our graph. So see, at the first day, what was the temperature? It was 22. At the second day, what was the temperature? It was 25, right? Which would be approximately here. At the third day, temperature is 20. And similarly, for the next days, it is 28, 30, 27 and 24. And like this, we are able to draw a basic line chart where only 2 things are required: x values, which are there inside this days variable, and y values, which are there inside this temperature variable. Apart from that, also we can provide multiple arguments here for this plot, but those are all optional parameters. How to use that we would be just seeing. So for now, we have just created basic line chart. Now let's add some color for this particular graph. How to add the color? So with this plot function only, we can provide multiple arguments. And here one of the parameter which we have for this plot function is color. And to provide that, we need to provide comma after the second argument, and then we need to provide the parameter name, which is color, then equals to, and then argument value. So here let's provide color as red, which would be a string. And to provide the string, you can use single quotes or double quotes. That's totally up to you. And here let's provide red. And we have already provided this plt.show. Let's click onto this execute cell and see this color got changed from blue to red. So by default, it was showing blue color, but now specifically we have mentioned that we want to see the graph with the color red. And like this, we can provide any color here. For now, I have provided color value directly, but you can also use hex code. How to provide the hex code? So for that, we need to provide hash and then its hex code. Let's see how to do that. For now, let me comment out this line so that you will have an idea that we can also provide colors like this. For now, we are going to use hash code. For that, let me copy the same line only, paste it here, and here for this color parameter, we need to provide the argument, and in this case, we are going to provide the hex code. So for that, let's provide hash here, and then we need to provide the hash code. And how to get this hash code? So there are 2 ways. First way is that you can simply go to Google, and here you can search for color picker. And with this color picker, you would be able to generate hex code for any of the color. You just need to move it to the desired color, and then you can copy this particular code. Let's say we want to generate one code little bluish or purple, and I want to get the hex code for this particular color. So code is this one, CDA3F0. Let's copy this. So it will copy with this hash. You can go to VS Code, and here let's paste this one. And see here into the notebook also we are able to see the same color. And now let's click onto this execute cell and see we have the graph with this purple color for this particular hex code. And as I was saying that we have 2 ways to pick the color. First way is that by using this color picker onto Google. And second way is by using this notebook only. Let's see the second way. For now, let me remove this hex code. So here it will not show me anything. Now what we can do, we can just press hash and just type any number 6 times. So 111111 6 times. And once you do so, you would be able to see this color here. For now, I have provided hex code for the black color. It is very simple. Hash and 1 6 times. And now once I provide any valid hex code, I would be getting color picker option onto this notebook only. For that, you will have to just mouse over onto this particular value. And here we are able to see color picker inside this notebook only. Here we can select the desired color. So let's say I want to get greenish color. So for that I will click here or move this bar to green color. And here now I can select any color. So let me move this particular dot to little here. And see, we have got our color and hash code for the same. And we need not to copy paste this particular value. Automatically this particular value will get updated here. As soon as you will move it to other position and leave the mouse, again the value will get updated. So like this, you can select any color here. Rather than providing values like red, yellow, green, we can use this color picker to select any desired value. So whatever the color you want to select, just move your cursor and automatically you would be getting value here. It's totally up to you which way you want to use. Either you can use that color picker from the Google and paste value here, or you can use the simplest way by using the color picker inside this notebook only. Now let me click onto this execute cell again and see it is showing this particular color. Here this color box also appears so that it would be easy for you to understand that which color you are using. Or you can simply mouse over here to see more details. Now apart from this color, we can also add markers here. So for now it is difficult for us to visualize the data points. And to visualize it only, we can use markers. What is markers and how to use it? Let's see the practical example directly. So here to provide markers, we can simply provide one more argument. So for that, provide this comma here. And then what we need to do? We need to provide the parameter name, which is marker. And then equals to. And here we need to provide the argument. So here we need to provide one string as the argument. So for that, we can use single quotes or double quotes. And here we can provide some of the symbols which will be used as the marker to show every data point. Let's use O here. Now let's click on to execute cell and you would be able to understand what is marker and what is the use of it. Let's click on to this execute cell and see we have got these data points. So now it is very easy for us to visualize it, right? It improves readability. So see, we are able to see dot here, which is for x value as 1, y value as 22, right? 1 and 22 would be in pair. So we need to provide the same length here, right? For both the arrays. And based on the indexes, they will get paired. So for one value for this days, it is paired with this 22, which is the temperature value for this day 1, right? And similarly, it would be happening for 2 and 25, 3 and 20, and so on. And you can provide n number of items here for these arrays. You would be able to see the chart related to it. And here, as I told, for the marker, you can provide different symbols. Like here, I can provide X. Let me click onto this execute cell and see we are able to see this X mark here for each point. Similarly, we can provide dot here. Let's click onto this execute cell and see we are able to get this small dots for each data point. And like this, there are different symbols which we can provide as the marker value. Usually it is easy with the O to see the proper data points. But it's totally up to you which symbol you want to use. You can simply go to the Google and search for markers value for the Matplotlib. And you would be getting different list of markers. Let me just quickly show you. Here you can simply search for markers for Matplotlib. And see here at the top only you would be able to see relevant details like what is the marker value, what is the symbol for that, and here you would be able to see description. So as the assignment, you can try using it and see which one you like. Usually we would be using this circle, but it's totally up to you. You can try using this star, diamond, right, and let me know how it is looking. Now let's go to VS Code. So now we know how to add the color, how to add marker. Apart from that also we can provide multiple style values for this line chart. Let's see how to do that. And here before proceeding further, one more thing. Order of these color marker, it does not matter, right? You can provide it in any order because we are using this parameter's name and then we are providing augment value. So it's totally up to you in which order you want to provide it here for this plot function. You just need to provide x value, y value, and after that you can provide any of the argument in any of the order. Now here let's provide some more style to this particular graph. So for that let me provide third argument. For that you can simply put comma and then can provide third argument. Just to show these arguments in proper format, you can put them into different lines. So after comma just hit enter so that it would be easy for us to read these argument values. Hit enter here, and after this comma also let's hit enter, and here we would be providing next argument. Let me remove this space. Now here one more parameter which we have is line style. So let's provide this line style. And here we have two words, line and style, but remember that you need to provide all the words into small letters only. So for each character, there would be small letters. You need not to provide any underscore or camel casing, right? Just all the small letters. And after this line style, provide equals to and then its value. So to provide its value, you need to provide single quotes or double quotes, and then you can provide its value. Let's provide this double dash. And let's see how our graph is looking. Let's click on to this execute cell and see on place of this line, we are able to see these dashes. Apart from this double dash also, you can provide multiple values for this line style. Let's say I can provide this dotted here also. Let's click on to execute cell and see on place of dash, now we are able to see these dots. So like this, there are multiple values. For that, you can just simply go to Google and search for line styles in Matplotlib. And here you would be able to see different options which you can provide for this line style. You can provide solid, dashed, dash dot, dotted, so it's totally up to you. Let me provide this dash dot. Let's go to VS Code. Here on place of this dotted, just provide this dash dot and click onto this execute cell. And see, it is showing dash and dot, dash and dot. So it's totally up to you which value you want to provide. Just provide it here for this line style and you would be able to update your graph accordingly. Every time I am telling you to go to Google to search these values so that you need not to remember it, right? See, there can be multiple values. You need not to remember each and every value. You should be aware that there is such style property like line style, marker. You can use, you should have an idea that how to provide the value and you can search for those values, that what are different values which can be used for these parameters. That's it. Like for the marker, we saw that we can provide cross, we can provide 0, we can provide plus, we can provide diamond. And similarly for the line style, we can provide dotted, dashed, dash dot, solid, right? No need to remember each and every value. Now we can provide one more argument which is line width. So for that, let's put comma, hit enter, and then line width. Then provide equals to, and here we can provide its value. So here let's provide 2, which is a number value. Now let's click onto this execute cell and see line width got increased. Let me make it 5 so that you would be able to see the difference. Let's click onto this execute cell and see its width got increased and line is too thick now. For now, I will keep it as 2 so that it is properly visible. Accordingly, you can change this line width value as per your requirement. So these parameters and its values were related to line. Now let's add some style for this marker. So for now, we have already added this marker value which is O. And as I told, this order does not matter. You can simply move this marker so that it would be easy for you to understand that we are now talking about the marker. Let me remove these spaces. Let me remove this comma and let's click onto this execute cell and see we are able to again see the same graph. So that's what I was telling, that this particular order does not matter. Now let's provide some more style for this particular marker. So for that, let's provide comma here, hit enter, and here let's give this parameter which is marker size. Then equals to, and then we need to provide its value which will be a number. So let's provide 10 here. Let's click on to execute cell and see its size got increased. These markers, right, which are O, its size got increased. Similarly, you can provide 20 here which will be too large, I think, right? See, it is too large. Let's go back to 10 only. Again, click on to execute cell. Now apart from that, we can also provide one argument to change this marker color. So parameter name is marker face color. Provide comma and let's provide this marker face color. And as I told, if there are multiple words, you need to keep each and every character a small letter only. Now provide equals to after this parameter name, and here we need to provide the color value. It's totally up to you. You can provide directly the color value or you can use that hex code. So provide quotes here, single quotes or double quotes. Provide hash and then let's add some number like 00 6 times. And then mouse over here and here we can pick any color. Let's provide something orange like this. Let's keep it little light. Now again let's click on to execute cell and see its color got changed. So here we have changed face color of the marker. Similarly, we have one more parameter which is age color. So for now, for these markers, the age is still green. So that also we can change. For that, let's provide comma. And here we need to provide the parameter name which is marker age color. And then equals to. And here also again we need to provide its value, which will be a color. So for that we need to provide quotes, single quotes or double quotes, and this time let's provide color directly like black. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see age for these markers are appearing black now, but the face color is still orange, which is this one. So like this you can select any color for the face, for the age, for these markers. You can use hex code, you can directly provide the color, it's totally up to you. Now with this graph we have not provided much information that what is the title of the graph, what are these x values, what are these y values, right? We know it that it is day and temperature, but by just looking at the graph you would not be able to see that what data you are providing, right? Let's say you save a PNG file and you share it with the team, so they will not get to know that what is this graph, right? What are these values, x values, y values, because we have not provided any of these details here. Now let's provide these details. So first let's provide the title. So for that we need to use one function which is title. Let's hit enter here and let's use this plt, which is alias for the matplotlib.pyplot, then dot, and then title is the function name, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here first argument which we need to provide will be our title, which will be a string. So for that we can use single quotes or double quotes, and here let's provide title as temperature this week. Now let's click on to execute cell and see we are able to get this particular title. So whatever we will provide here as the first argument will be appearing at the top of the graph as the title. Now for this title also we can provide some of the different arguments to provide different style. Let's provide some of the argument here. Here I will use one argument which is font size. It is self-explanatory, right? Font size is for changing size of these fonts. So font and then size equals to, and here its value will be a numeric value. Let's provide 16 here. Now let's click on to execute cell and see its size got increased. Similarly you can increase or decrease it accordingly. After that we have one more argument which is font weight. So font weight equals to, and here let's provide bold. So opening and closing of quotes, and in between we need to provide its value. Let's provide bold here. Now this particular title should be bold. Let's click on to this execute cell and see it is appearing little bold. Similarly we can also provide next argument which is font family. So parameter name is just family, and then we can provide different values here. For that let's provide this equals to, and here for now let's provide Arial. And like this you can provide different font family values here. And as I told you, you can simply go to Google and search for font family for Matplotlib title, and you would be able to get different options. For now let's click on to this execute cell and see this is the Arial font family. After that we can provide one more argument which is color for this particular title. Let's provide that. So provide comma here, and then we need to provide the parameter name which is color equals to, and here you can use hex code or directly the value. For now I'm just directly providing this right here. Within the quotes you need to provide, you can use single quotes or double quotes. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see its color is red now. So now all these properties which we have given are now applicable for this particular title. And here as I told, you can just put enter after each comma so that it would be properly readable. But it's totally up to you if you want to provide it in the same row only, so that you can. For now let me hit enter so that we would be able to read it properly. Apart from that it is not going to make any change, but it is more readable. Now we have provided the title. Similarly we can also provide the X label and Y label. So X label we can provide as days, right? So days would be appearing here. Y label we can provide as temperature, so temperature would be appearing here. Let's do that quickly. So for that we have different functions for the X label and Y label. Let's provide them one by one. Again we need to use this plt, then X label. So after dot we need to provide X, then label, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here first argument which we need to provide its X label value, which is days in this case. You can provide any string value here. And now if you will execute here, you would be able to see this X label is appearing as days. Similarly we can also provide Y label. So for that we can put this plt, then dot, and then Y label, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here we can provide temperature. So within single quotes or double quotes we can provide temperature here. Now let me click onto this execute cell and we should be able to see this Y label also. So X label, Y label and title. For these X label and Y label we can provide different properties like we have provided for the title so that it would be looking more properly here like title. Let's provide them quickly one by one. Same properties we would be providing: font size, font weight, family and color. How to provide them? So for X label let's provide them quickly. Provide comma, hit enter, and here let's provide font weight equals to, and let's provide its value as the number which will be 13 now. You can provide any value, right? I'm keeping it little small, then the title. Then put comma, let's provide font weight here equals to, and then within the quotes let's provide bold. I will execute it in one go, right? For now I'm just adding these properties which are argument, right, for these parameters. Now again let's provide comma, hit enter, and then let's provide this family equals to, and here again I will provide Arial, then put comma, hit enter, and here let's provide color equals to, and now this time let's provide blue here. So within the quotes let's provide blue. If you want you can use hex code. Just to save the time I am directly providing these values here. Now let's click on to execute cell again to see the X label, and we are getting one error. Okay, I've made one mistake. On place of this font size I have provided font weight. Let me copy paste it here. So now we have font size, font weight, family and color, right? Same parameters and its values we are providing like title, right? I have made a typo error. You need to provide font size as the number, then font weight, family and color. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see this X value is appearing into the blue color with the size 13, font weight as bold and family as Arial. Similarly, we can provide the same properties for the Y label. Let's do that quickly. If you want, you can copy paste also. For now, I will just quickly type it. So temperature, comma, and let's provide font size here equals to, let's give it as 13, comma, font weight equals to, and let's provide its value as bold. Within the quotes we need to provide, that's the string, then comma, family, and it is not necessary that you need to provide each and every argument, right? These are all optional. If you want to skip family, just remove it. Equals to, so within the quotes let's provide Arial again. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see these properties got applied. If you want you can also change the color. So provide comma and then let's provide color. So color equals to, and let's keep the color as green this time. So opening and closing of single quotes or double quotes, and let's provide green here. And as I told, you can provide any color or any hex code here. Now we already have this plot.show. Let's click on to this execute cell and see all the properties got applied here for the title, X label and Y label. So like this you can style your chart. You can plot it with the color, line style, line width, which is for the thickness, then marker, marker size, marker face color, marker border color. Similarly, you can provide title, X label, Y label with the font size, font weight, family and color. By that you can style title, X label and Y label. So now pause for a second and observe which day had a highest temperature. So by looking at this particular data, it is little difficult to observe that. But now by looking at this particular graph, we are easily able to identify that which day has the highest temperature. So for this 5th day, we have the highest temperature which is 30, right? So for the 5th day, we were having this 30. So by looking at this data, it was very difficult to say that, but by looking at this graph it is very easy. Where does the graph drop? So here you would be able to see at the 3rd day we were having very less temperature. And now did you realize that you can visually identify trends faster than reading raw numbers? That's the power of data visualization. Now let's talk about one more concept, which is style dictionary. So for now we have plotted one single line, but when we plot multiple lines with the same style, repeating all styling arguments become messy. So what does that mean? So for now we have just plotted this one single line, but let's say we want to plot multiple lines like this, and for that we would be using this plt.plot and we would be providing arguments like this, where we need to provide the style also, and we need to provide the same style for all those lines. So in that case, what is one way that we can provide all these styles with each plt.plot? So we will be copy pasting the same thing. But later, let's say we want to change this marker to X or line width to 3. So in that case, we will have to update it for each and every plot. So that is not the optimized way. And that is where we are going to use the style dictionary. Let's see how to use that. For that, I will first prepare the data. Here, let me add one more code cell. And here, let's take example of a student with marks each year. Here, I will create one array of years. Then equals to, and here we need to provide this np.array, and then opening and closing of round parentheses, and then opening and closing of square brackets to provide list. And here we will provide some years like 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026. And like this, you can provide multiple years. And then we would be providing marks for math, science, and English each year. So let's provide marks for math. So maths equals to, this is the variable name which we have given, then np.array, opening and closing of round parentheses, opening and closing of square brackets. And here let's provide marks for 2023. So here let's provide 10, then next year 20, next year 35, next year 40. Any data we can provide. For now I'm just providing some data so that we can plot our lines. Now similarly, let's provide marks for science. So variable name is science equals to, then np.array, round parentheses, square brackets, and here let's provide marks like 30, 60, 10, 50. And here I will provide marks for English also so that we can plot 3 lines. How to plot that I will just show you. Here let's give the variable name as English equals to np.array, round parentheses, square brackets, and here let's provide marks like 23, 42, 12, 38. Now let's plot the graph. So here to plot it, what we need to give? We need to provide this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot. And here we need to use this plot function. And then opening and closing of round parentheses. And here we need to provide data for the x coordinate and the y coordinate. So for the x coordinate, we will be providing years, for the y coordinate, we would be providing these subjects. So here let's plot it for the maths. And after that, we can provide color, line style, marker style. For now, let's provide color. So comma and then color equals to, and here let's provide red. You can use hex code also. Similarly, let's plot the line for the science and English also. So plt.plot, round parenthesis, and here we need to provide years, which is for the x-axis, comma, and then science. And after that, let's provide color so that we would be able to see all the lines differently. So color equals to green. You can provide any color, any hex code. Now let's do the same for the English. Here it should be ENGLISH, right? The spelling is wrong. And here let's use this plt and then dot plot. And here round parenthesis, and let's provide years, comma, English, comma, color. And here let's provide color as blue. So color equals to blue. Within the single quotes or double quotes, we need to provide these colors. Now we are going to plot 3 lines. And here let's provide plt.show to show the graph. And then opening and closing of round parentheses. And make sure if you are reopening your VS Code and this particular file, so in that case, we need to execute these import statements. And once it is executed, we can execute our code cells. Now here let's click on to execute cell here. And we should be able to see the line chart. So see, we are able to see 3 lines. This green one is for science and this blue one is for English. Now apart from these colors, we need to provide all the styles which we have seen. Like line style, line width, marker, marker size, marker face color, marker age color. And apart from that, there are other styles also which we can provide. And for each line, we want to provide it same. So in that case, what we can do, we can provide each and every property for each plt.plot. But there is a better way. Let's see how to do that. So rather than providing those parameters and its values for each and every method, what we can do, we can create one variable. So here let's give the variable name as style1 and then equals to, and here we can create one dictionary. So to create the dictionary, what we need to do, opening and closing of curly braces. Apart from that, you can also use this dig to create the dictionary. How to create that you can Google. And in that case, again, you will be providing key value pair, but there you will be providing key equals to and then its value. But here in case of this dictionary, where we use curly braces, so in that case, we provide key and value, but we separate them with a colon. Let's use this one. And how to use that dig, that is your assignment. Use that dig, create the dictionary and use it. How to use these dictionaries, I will show you. For now, let's create the dictionary. So here, let's provide marker. So marker is our parameter name, which we have provided earlier here, right? Here, marker, marker size. These are all the parameter name, and then we have provided argument value. Same thing we are going to do here. So here let's provide this marker. So we need to provide single quotes or double quotes while providing key name. Then colon, space and its value. So here let's provide its value as O. Now let's provide next key value pair. So comma, then marker size. After that colon equals to, and here let's give marker size as 12. Comma, marker face color equals to, and here let's provide pink. We need to provide this property name also within single quotes or double quotes. Right? Do not forget this. Whenever you are creating dictionary, you need to provide key name within single quotes or double quotes. After that, let's put comma. And now we can provide next key value pair, which is marker age color. Again, we need to provide it within the single quotes or double quotes. And then colon. And here let's provide black. So age color will be black for the marker. After that, put comma. And now this time provide line style. So within single quotes or double quotes, we need to provide line style. And then colon, and its value we will provide as dotted. What are different values for this that we have already discussed, like dotted, dashed, hyphen, right? So you can use them accordingly. Then put comma. Then let's provide one more property, which is line width. So line width within single quotes, let's select it and then press shift and then single quotes or double quotes. So it will automatically enclose them. And after that we need to provide colon, and its value I will provide as 3, which is line width. So all these properties we have already seen, right, when we have plotted this one. Color, line style, line width, marker, right? So I've used the same thing, but here we have provided key equals to and its value. And in this case, we need to provide key, colon and its value. And as I told, if you will use that dict to create the dictionary, so in that case, you'll have to provide it like this only. Property equals to and then its value. How to use that I'm leaving on to you. You just Google it, how to create the dictionary using dict, and then you provide it here. Now let's use this style for different plots. Let's use this for the math only first. So how to use it? So rather than providing each and every key value pair here, we can directly use this style one. For that we need to provide comma. And after that what we need to provide? We need to provide double star and then style one. So here we want to provide each and every key value pair for this particular plot function. Now rather than providing it for the science and English, let's click on to execute cell and see how is it looking. And see, for the math, for which we were having this red color, we are able to see marker with the size, face color, age color, line style, line width, right? Everything got changed because we have used this particular style for this plot only, for this first plot, which is for the math. And now we want to provide the same style for the plot, for the science and English. So what we can do, either we can provide each and every property and its value directly here for this function, or what we can do, we can directly use this particular style. And how to use that? So for that we need to provide comma and then double star and then style one. Same style we are using, and the same thing we can use for this plot for the English. So comma, double star and then style one, which means provide each and every parameter name and its value here, right? So here we are providing marker equals to O. So internally what we are doing, comma, marker size equals to and then its value. And one by one we are providing all the properties, but rather than writing them each and every time, we are just creating this particular dictionary and then we are using this dictionary for the different plots. That's it. And now let's click on to execute cell again and see we have got markers and line style for each and every plot. And like this you can create the style where you want to use exactly the same style for each and every graph. And then you can use it like this by providing double star and then the style dictionary name. Here we have provided color separately because we wanted to provide different color for each and every plot. And here for now it is little difficult to visualize that which line is for which particular plot, because by looking at the color and this particular code we can get to know that red one is for the math, green one is for the science and blue one is for the English. But we should be able to visualize it by looking at just the graph and not at the code. So how to do that? So in that case we can provide label for each and every plot. Let's provide the label. So comma after this argument and let's provide this label. Then equals to, and here let's provide it for the math. So math string I am providing. You can provide any value here as per your graph. Let's do the same for the science and English. So comma label equals to science. Again let's do the same for the English. So comma label equals to, and then here we are providing English. You can provide any string here which you want to use as the label. And here by mistake I have provided capital L. Let me change it to small l only. This one also small l, right? Make sure you are providing correct casing. Now if we will execute it, what will happen? Let's see. Let me execute it and see we are not able to see any change. we are not able to see these labels. So what is the problem? So it will not show the label by just providing it here for each and every plot. We will have to use plt.legend to show the legend for each and every label. How to do that? So for that, after plotting each and every graph, what we need to do, we need to provide this plt.legend and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. That's it. Now let's again click on to this execute cell and see we have got the beautiful legend for each and every label. For that, what we had to do, we had to provide label for each and every plot, and then we have provided this plt.legend to show this particular legend, and at the end you need to do this plt.show for each and every graph. So here for the math it is showing red dots with this pink marker. For the science it is showing green dots with the pink marker, and for the English it is showing blue dots with the pink marker, right? So by looking at it, you would be able to see that this one is for the math, this green one is for the science, and this one is for the English, which is blue one. And like this, you can create this style dictionary and provide it for each and every plot. And apart from that, you can also add legend like this. So here what we did by providing this double star, then style. So style 1 unpacks the dictionary and passes all the keys as arguments. This helps reduce repeated code, keep styling consistent, and make code cleaner and easier to maintain. And apart from that, if you provide label but forget to provide legend, so in that case these labels will not appear here as legend. And let's talk about xticks and tick params also. And what is this xticks? So for now, if you will see, here we are able to get these x-axis like 2023.0, then 2023.5, right? It is not showing the specific value which we have provided here while creating data. It should show 2023, 25, 26 like this, right? So for that, what we can use xticks. Let's see how to use that. So here I will use this particular code cell only. And after this plt.plot, what we will do, we will provide this plt.xticks. And here we want to provide xticks for the x-axis. So let's provide these. And what is this xticks? So it will provide proper value for this x-axis, right? That's why it is xticks. And same thing you can do for the y-axis by providing yticks. For now, we would be using this xticks only. And here what we need to do, we need to pass this variable name which is years, where it is having multiple values like 2023, 24, 25 and 26. Let's provide years here. And now let's click on to execute cell and we should be able to see the difference here. Let's click here and see this time we are able to see proper x-axis with all the values which we have mentioned here, right? So with the years, we were having 23, 24, 25 and 26 years. So that's what we are able to see here. And same thing as I told you, you can do for the y-axis. For that, what we'll have to do, we'll have to provide this plt.yticks and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here you can provide some values. For now, I'm not providing any value because automatically for the y-axis there are different values like these numbers, right? So automatically graph is taking that particular data correctly. But for the x-axis, it was not taking. So in that case, we have used xticks. So it's totally up to you. You can visualize that particular graph and accordingly you can make your changes. For now, let me comment this out. And apart from providing these xticks, yticks, we can also provide params for these ticks. How to do that? So in that case, we need to provide this plt dot and then tick underscore params. And then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here we can provide parameter name and its value as the argument. So for which axis we want to put this property. So for that, we need to provide parameter name which is axis equals to, and here let's do it for the x-axis. And for that, what would be the value? The value would be this x. And within the quotes we need to provide right as the string. And then let's provide color. So put comma here and then colors is the parameter name, colon, and its value let's put as red. So within single quotes or double quotes we need to provide red. Apart from that, as I told you multiple times, to provide the color you can use hex code. And here we need to use equals to, not the colon. Now let's click on to execute cell. And see for these xticks, color is now red. Because we have provided axis as the x. So that's why it has changed it for the x-axis only. Similarly, we can do it for the y-axis also. So now I have changed this x to y. Now let's click on to this execute cell. And this time color got changed for the y-axis. And what if we want to do it for both the axes? So in that case, we can provide both here. As the string we need to provide it and color says red. Make sure you are providing colors and not color. Because if you will provide color, it will not work properly. And if we want to change these properties for the x-axis and y-axis, so in that case on place of this y, we can provide both. And here we are providing colors so that it changes the colors for each and every tick and its value. Let's click on to this execute cell. And see, it has changed the value for x-axis and y-axis for these ticks and its values. If you will use color only and not colors, so in that case it will just change value of this ticks and not these values. So here I will use colors for now, but as per your requirement you can use these properties. Now let's click on to execute cell, and it is able to change these colors for x-axis ticks and y-axis ticks. So here first what we did, we have provided this x ticks, and inside it we have provided this years, which are the same values which we are using for the x-axis. So by this we are forcing the x-axis to show exactly the value which we pass. This is very useful for years, categories, specific labels. And after that we have used this plt.tick_params, which styles the tick labels. Here we change the tick label color to red. And so far we have learned how to show trends over time by using this line chart. Now let's compare categories using bar chart. So what is bar chart? A bar chart compares values across categories. Here are some few examples of bar chart like product sales, employee performance, app downloads, monthly revenue comparison. So for such cases we can use bar chart. How to use the bar chart? That is important now. And there are two types of bar chart. First one would be vertical bar chart and second one would be horizontal bar chart. Let's see how to create the bar chart. Let me copy this particular heading. Let's go to VS Code. Here let's add this markdown. Let's provide heading by providing # space and then this bar chart text. Click onto this tick and we are able to see the heading. Now let's first talk about vertical bar chart. For that let me add one code style, and here let's provide this comment which is vertical bar chart. So here you would not be able to see much change in terms of just plotting it. Previously for line charts we were using plt.functionName, which was plot, and here we are going to use plt.bar, and then we would be providing different arguments. Let's see how to do that. Let's hit enter. So here let's take an example of an electronics shop where we are having laptop, phone, tablet, watches, and then we want to see that what is the sales for each and every item. So in that case we can use bar chart. Let's see how to use that. So for now I will create one variable which is product, and then I will provide list of the products. So for that we can simply use Python list. So after product provide equals to, then opening and closing of square brackets, and here let's provide laptop, then comma, and then within the single quotes or double quotes let's provide phone, again comma, quotes, and then tablet, again comma, quotes, and watch. And like this we can have multiple products into the shop. For an example I have just taken 4 products, and now we want to visualize the sales of each and every product. So for that I will create one more variable which is sales, and then equals to, and then opening and closing of square brackets, and here we can provide sales amount. So in this case you can use NumPy array or the Python list. To keep it simple I am directly using Python list. So here let's provide 1500, comma 3200, comma 800, comma 2100. You can consider that shop has sold these items these many times. Laptop 1500, phone 3200 in the quantity, right? And like this you can provide any data. This is just an example. Now let's plot the bar chart. In this case we are going to plot the vertical bar chart. So for that first we need to use this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot. Then we need to provide this dot and then bar, which is our function name. If you will mouse over you would be able to see this bar is function. Now we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here we need to provide x value, which is for the horizontal axis. So here let's provide product, which is this variable name, and then we need to provide this y-axis details, which is for the height. So here let's provide sales, and now let's click onto this execute cell, and we should be able to see basic vertical bar chart. And see, we have got the bar chart where we are able to see this laptop, phone, tablet, and watch that we have provided here. And here for now we are seeing this particular line because we have not provided this plt.show. So this you need to provide for each and every chart. Now let's click onto this execute cell, and this line is gone. And see, for the laptop we have provided 1500, for the phone we have provided 3200, and similarly for the tablet and watches we have provided details, and we are able to see a beautiful bar chart for that. We can also change this particular color from blue to some other. Let's provide that property. So for that hit enter, and then color equals to, and then its value let's provide as orange. Here we need to provide comma after sales also. Now let's click onto this execute cells, and see we are able to see each and every bar into the orange color because we have provided that color here. But what if we want to provide a separate color for each and every bar? So in that case, we can pass a list here for different colors. So to pass the list, what we can do, we can remove this particular item. And here let's provide opening and closing of square brackets. And here let's provide color for each and every item like laptop, phone, tablet and watch. So as the string we need to provide the color. You can also use hex code. Here let's provide red, comma, orange within the quotes, comma, green, then comma, blue. If you want, you can use hex code and choose your color. For now, just to keep this simple, I'm directly providing the colors like this. Now let's click on to execute cell. And here we can click on to execute cell, but I've made a mistake. Here we need to provide orange. I've made a typo error. And then let's click on to this execute cell. And see, we are able to see color for each and every bar. And like this, you can provide different colors, same colors. That's totally up to you. I just wanted to show you that you can provide same color or the different color for these bars. Apart from that, there are other arguments which we can pass with this bar function. Like we can provide age color. For now, we are not able to see any age for these bars. Let's provide that. Let's put comma and then this edgecolor. All small letters you need to provide. Then equals to, and here let's provide this age color as black. You can also use this hex code. Similarly, let's provide width also. So for that, let's put comma and then width equals to, and let's provide width as 0.5, which will reduce width of these bars to half. Now let's click on to execute cell, where we should be able to see this edges as black and width as 0.5. Now let's click here and see we have got the bars with the age color as black and its width got reduced to half. And accordingly, you can provide these properties. And like this, you can also search for other properties related to bars and try to provide those properties and its values. For now, these properties are sufficient so that we would be able to draw a proper bar chart. Apart from that, we can also provide title, x label, y label. Let's do that quickly. So after this plt.bar, let's hit enter. And here let's provide title. So plt.title and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide title as product sales. Within the quotes we need to provide as these are strings. Then let's provide x label and y label. So for that we need to provide this plt.x label, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's provide product. That would be appearing here. Title would be appearing here. And let's provide units sold, right? We have sold laptop 1500. We have sold 3200 units of phone. And like this, there can be any data. It can be amount also, right? This is just an example for the units. Here let's provide plt.y label, which is this one, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's provide unit sold. So as the string unit sold, let's provide units sold. Now let's click on to execute cell and see we are able to get the title, x label, y label. And apart from that, you can also provide style for these titles, x label, y label, that we have already seen with the line chart. So I'm not repeating them again, but you can use them accordingly, right? Same thing you need to use. With the plt, we are using this title, x label, y label functions. Similarly, for the line chart, we have used plt.line function. For the bar chart, we are using plt.bar function. Here and there can be different properties that you can use. For that, you can also Google that what are all the different parameters and its arguments or properties which we can provide. For now, this is sufficient. And for now, we have just plotted the vertical bar chart. Similarly, we can also provide a horizontal bar chart. Let's see that. So here, let's add one more code cell. Let's provide this command which is horizontal bar chart. So hash and then horizontal bar chart. Hit enter. And here we would be using the same data only, which is product sales, and we want to show the bar chart for the same data. But this time we are going to provide horizontal bar chart on place of this vertical bar chart. So for that, what we need to do, we need to again use this plt dot and then bar h, which is for horizontal bar chart, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide the products as the first argument, the same thing which we have done for this bar. This time we are using the function name which is bar h, which is for the bar horizontal. Let's provide product here, comma, then we need to provide sales, which is our second argument for the bar also, right? This one, where it is containing units sold. And now let's put this plt dot show and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And now let's click onto this execute cell and see we are able to get this horizontal bar chart where all the products are appearing at this y-axis and all the units sold are appearing here at the x-axis. Here in case of any bar chart, vertical or horizontal, we usually don't call it x-axis, y-axis. We usually call them y-axis and then width or height. So in case of vertical bar chart, the second argument is for the height. See, if you will mouse over, you would be able to see that we are providing this x, which are these values, right? Here we have provided x as the product, and then we are providing the sales, which is our height, right? See, height is the second argument, and then we need to provide other arguments. And similarly for the horizontal bar chart, we have provided y, its value is product. So see, we are able to see products at the y-axis, and then we have provided width, which is this sales. See here, this width is appearing. So accordingly, width of the bar is getting changed. It can be increased or decreased based on the data. And here also let's provide some color and age color. So for that, put comma and then color equals to, let's provide color as sky blue. For now, I'm just providing single color. If you want, you can provide multiple colors by providing list like this. And here let's provide edge color. So comma and then edge color. And for this edge color, we need to provide any color. Here let's provide black. Let's provide space after comma so that we are able to see all the arguments properly. Let's click on to execute cell and the color got changed with this edge color. Now let's provide title, x label, y label so that we would be able to see proper data. For that, we need to provide this plt dot and let's provide title, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's give the title as product sales horizontal. Okay, let's provide x label and y label. So for the x label, what we want to provide? We want to provide plt dot x label, and here what we need to provide for the x label this time. So previously for the x label we have provided product, but here for the x label we want to provide units sold. So let's provide it here. So within the quotes we need to provide units sold. You can provide any text here. And similarly for the y, previously we have provided units sold, but this time we are going to provide products. So plt dot y label, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's provide product. And now let's click on to execute cell so that we would be able to see the title, x label, y label accordingly, right? Make sure you are providing correct text so that it would be easy to identify, right? Here we have provided product at the y label, and for the x label we have provided units sold. In case of vertical bar chart, we have provided x label as the product and y label as the units sold. And like this, accordingly you can make the change. For the vertical bar, you can use this plt.bar, and for creating horizontal bars, just use plt.bar h. And notice how meaning of x-axis and y-axis swaps. So far we have compared categories. And now let's go to the next section where we will visualize relationships between variables. And for that we are going to use this scatter plot. So what is scatter plot? A scatter plot shows relationship between two variables. Here are some examples of it, like hours studied versus score, height versus weight, advertising cost versus sales. Each dot represents one data point. Let's see how to create this scatter plot. Let me copy this particular heading. Let's go to VS Code and here let's add one markdown. So let's click here and provide double hash and then this heading, which is for this particular section, which is scatter plot. Let's click onto the stick and we are able to see the heading. And now let's see the practical example. For that we will provide this code cell. Now here let's see the practical example. And here we will take example of height and weight. Let's see that. So let's create one variable which is height equals to, and here we are going to create a list. If you want, you can create NumPy array, but here we are just creating small set of data, and for that we are just using list. It's totally up to you. As I told previously, we have seen how to use the NumPy array. So the same you can use here also, but for now I'm using list. Here let's provide height like 150 in the centimeter I'm providing. So 150, 160, 165, 170, 175, 180, 185. And like this you can provide multiple data points here. Similarly, let's provide weight here. So for that we will give the variable name as weight equals to, and then opening and closing of square brackets, and here let's provide weight in kg like 50, 60, 65, 70, 72, 80, 85. So for each height value, we have weight value, right? For the 150 height, we have weight, which is 50. And here you remember, right? We need to provide the same length array or list. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 item for the heights, and same should be the case for the weight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And now let's use this scatter plot. For that, what you need to do, you need to simply use this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot. Then we need to provide dot, and here what is the function which we need to use? It is the scatter. So SCATTER. And here we need to provide the x-axis value and the y-axis value. See here we can see this x and y. So here let's provide height as the argument for the x parameter. Then let's provide weight for the y parameter. So WIGST. And now let's click onto this execute cell and we should be able to see a basic scatter plot. Let's click here. And here we are seeing this line. So let me provide this plt.show. So that this particular line will not be appearing. In case of Jupyter, directly we are able to see this graph, but mostly you will have to provide this plt.show to see the graph or chart, right? Let's click onto this execute cell and see we are able to get this scatter plot. For each data point, like for this 150 height and 50 weight, we have got this particular point. Similarly, for 160 and 60, we have got this particular point. For 165 and 65, we have got this particular point, right? So it is showing the relationship between the height and weight, and accordingly it is showing the scatter plot. This is very basic scatter plot, but we can also provide some of the arguments to make it with the proper style. Here let's provide some color. So as the next argument I am passing color. So color equals to, and its value would be any color you can provide. Here I am providing red. After that we need to provide size. So for that we can provide this s equals to, and here let's provide 100. And there is one more property. Property means argument which we are providing, right? Which we can provide, which is alpha. And then equals to, and here let's provide 0.7. What it is doing, I will show you. For now, let's click onto this execute cell. And see it has changed its color to red that we have provided here. Here I have provided space. If you want to remove it, that you can do. And then after that, we have provided this s equals to 100, which is for the size. Let's say if I provide 200 here, so its size will get increased. So see, size for these dots got increased. For now, this 100 is sufficient. And after that, we have provided this alpha, which is 0.7. So it is for transparency. Let's provide 0.5. And let's click on to execute cell. And see, we are able to see little transparent dots. If I provide it like 0.2. And let's click on to this execute cell. And see, it is now more transparent. So if you provide value near to 0, so it will be more transparent. And if you will go nearer 1, so it will be more solid, right? It will not be transparent that much. So accordingly, you can change this alpha value to increase or decrease the transparency. Nearer to 0 means more transparency. Nearer to 1, which means more solid. And accordingly, you can change color, size and alpha values. Now let's add title, x label, y label, so that our graph will be proper, right? Anyone who would be seeing this particular graph will be able to have an idea that what exactly we are trying to do here. So let's provide plt.title, and here we need to provide the title as height versus weight. So let's provide it height versus weight. You can provide any title, any text here. It should be meaningful so that anyone who is looking at this particular graph will get to know that we are plotting this particular graph for the height versus weight, right? And accordingly, as per your requirement, you can give your title. And now let's provide x label. So for that, we need to provide plt.xlabel and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here this x label is for the height. So let's provide height as the string. And here this height is in centimeters. So we can provide cm within the brackets, or directly hyphen cm also we can provide. Any text you need to provide, right? And similarly, let's provide y label. So plt.ylabel and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide weight in kg, or again we can put parenthesis and put kg here, or any text we can put. Now plt.show is already there. Let's click on to execute cell and see we have got our basic scatter plot with all the title, x label, y label and all the properties which we have provided as the argument here for the scatter function. In short, you need to use the scatter function. There you can pass the multiple properties, its title, x label, y label, and then you can show the particular graph. And here for now we have used this alpha for the transparency. So for now we are not able to see any benefit of it, but let's say if your two dots are getting overlapped, so in that case you would be able to see both the dots properly. So usually data analytics and machine learning engineers use scatter plots to identify relationships and patterns in data. For now you should be aware that how to plot it, right? About the data analytics, machine learning, you need not to be worried about. For now you should know that how to plot these graphs, how to make this scatter plot, how to make this bar chart, how to make the line chart, right? All the things you should be aware. Although these are just functions which we are using. We have used the scatter function, we have used bar function, bar h function, we have used plot function, and there we have passed multiple arguments to show the graph and to do the proper styling. And here let's take one more example for the scatter plot, where we would be showing two groups on the same chart. Let me add one more code cell here. And let's prepare data first. So here we will take one example where we will show relationship between the hours studied by the student and its score. Let's create the data. Let's provide hours as the variable name. And here we are going to create two data sets. So let's provide this underscore a, or you can provide hours 1 score 1 and hours 2 scores 2. For now I'm using this hours underscore a equals to, and here let's provide the list. Let's provide number of hours like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10. And similarly let's provide scores. So let's provide score underscore a, right, for this particular data set, and then equals to, and again I'm using list, and as I told you can also use NumPy array for the numerical data. And here let's provide 20, 40, 66, 70, 71, 80, 60. Right, for each and every hour we have a score. For 1 hour study we have score which is 20 by the student. For the 2 hour study student have 40 score. For the 3 it is 66, for the 4 70, for the 6 71, for the 8 it is 80, and for the 10 it is 60. Somehow student may be exhausted, right? So if he or she is studying for the 10 hours, so they may see dip in the score, right? This is just an example, right? So accordingly we are kind of creating the relationship between the hours and the scores. Now let's create one more data set for the second student or second set, right? So hours underscore b equals to, let's provide hours here. So for that we are using list, and here we will provide 1, 1.5, 4, 5, 6, 9, 11, right? This data can be different. It is not necessary that it should be same. These are two different data sets which we can use to plot the scatter plot. Now let's provide the scores underscore b equals to, and then opening and closing of square brackets, and here let's provide score like 30, 40, 62, 72, 75, 81, 61. Now let's plot the scatter plot. So for that what we need to do, we need to provide this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot. Then we need to use the function name which is scatter, that's CATTER, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide scatter plot for the first set of data. So here we can use this hours a for the x-axis and scores a for the y-axis. You can copy paste it or you can type it, that's totally up to you. And now let's provide some style. So color equals to red, and apart from the color let's provide alpha equals to 0.5, comma s, which is for the size, equals to 200. Here we are seeing the error because we have missed one comma. Carefully we need to provide these commas, otherwise you will get the error, right? And now let's do the same for the second set of data. So for that again plt.scatter, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and then hours b, comma for the y-axis scores b. Let's copy paste it. Then let's provide color equals to blue. I will use, you can provide any color, comma then alpha. Here let's provide alpha equals to 0.5, so that we are able to see proper transparent dots. Then again comma, then s equals to 200 only I will provide. As per your requirement you can change these properties, right? Now let's provide plt.show. So plt.show and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. Let's click onto this execute cell and see we have got the scatter plot, and here we are able to see different data, right? This red is for first set of data, this blue is for second set of data. And by looking at this particular code, we are getting to know that which dot is for which particular data set. But we should be able to visualize it just by looking at the graph. So for that, again, we can provide label here. So let's provide label for the first data set equals to, and here let's provide class A, right? Or student A, whatever the data which you are providing, right? Accordingly, you can provide label. Here, if you are considering it for the student 1 or the student 2, so accordingly, you can provide that. Here, I am providing it as I am considering it for the class A or the class B, right? So it's totally up to you. This is just an example. Now here let's provide label equals to, and then let's provide class B here. And now to show these labels, we need to provide legend. How to do that? For that, we need to use this plt.legend and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And now let's click onto this execute cell and see we have got the proper legend here. That red is for the class A, blue is for the class B, and accordingly we are able to see each and every dot, which is our scatter plot. And here we have made this transparency so that if dots are getting overlapped, we would be able to see them properly. So for now, these dots are not getting overlapped, but let's try to overlap them with the common data. So for this 4-hour study, we can change the data. So this 4 is at the 4th position or at the 3rd index, right? So let's change it at the 3rd index. For this 4 hours, let's keep this 70 only. And for this 4 hours, which is at the 2nd index or the 3rd position, let's make it 70, or let's make it 71. Now let's click on to execute cell and see now it is getting overlapped, because for the 4-hour study, for the class A, the score was 70, and for the class B, for the 4-hour study, the score was 71. So it is getting overlapped till some extent, right? And we are able to easily identify it because we have provided this alpha 0.5. So that is the use of providing this transparency, right? By using alpha. And accordingly, you can change these values. It's totally up to you. But you should be aware how to do this scatter plot. If you are seeing this into already existing project, then also you should be aware about it. And now let's provide title, x label, y label, so that we would be able to see proper whole graph and we would be able to visualize it. And anyone who would be able to see this particular graph would be able to get an idea that what exactly we are trying to do. So let's provide title, plt.title, and here let's provide title as test score versus hours studied. You can provide any title, it's totally up to you. So test score versus hours studied. And similarly, let's provide x label. So plt.xlabel, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's give the x label as hours studied. Right, for this x label, we have provided these hours. Here let me provide hours and then this as capital. You can provide any title, right? Any label, that's up to you. And now let's provide y label. So plt.ylabel, and then here we will provide score as the string we need to pass. So double quotes or single quotes we can use. Now let's click on to execute cell and we are able to see proper title, x label and the y label with the legend. So right, these label which we have provided are for the legend because we have provided this plt.legend, so it is using these labels. But here we are providing x label and y label, which are for the x-axis label and y-axis label. So in short, here we need to call plt.scatter multiple times before plt.show. Matplotlib places all the plots together on the same graph. And here one more concept I would like to show you so that you are aware about that, which is Colormap. And for that we would be using this single scatter plot so that you would be able to understand it properly. Here we would be using these heights and weights. For now, let's use the new code cell. We would be using same data, which are these heights and weights, right? That we have already executed, so we will not have to again create the data, or just to keep it simple, let's create it again. So let's provide height and weight, and here we are going to use the scatter plot. So for that we need to provide plt.scatter and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's provide height, comma, weight. And now here, rather than providing color, we would be using Colormap. How to use that? So here we would be providing some arguments. let's provide one argument which is c equals to, and here we need to provide different values that how color should change. For now we will provide weight here, which is a list, right, which is containing different numbers. And then we have one more argument which we need to provide, and the parameter name is cmap. And how to provide its value? So for that we can provide equals to, and here we can provide different values. And one of the value is viridis, which is viridis. So it is the color type. Apart from this viridis, you can also provide plasma, magma, or you can search for these values into the Google and you would be getting different examples. For now we would be using this viridis. It is kind of theme, right, that what kind of color theme which we want to provide. And after that, let's provide size that we have already seen. For that we need to use s equals to, and here let's provide 200. Now let's put this plt.show and then opening and closing of round parentheses. And now let's click onto this execute cell and see, this time we are able to see these dots with the different colors. And why these colors are changing? Because of this c equals to weight which we have provided. So for each weight value, this particular dot's color is changing. And how these colors are appearing? So for that we have provided a kind of theme you can understand, which is color map. So here we are providing cmap equals to viridis. And like this you can also provide plasma. Let me provide it. And now let's click onto this execute cell and see this color theme got changed. Similarly we can also provide magma and then click onto this execute cell and see colors are changed a little bit. Accordingly you can search for this cmap for the scatter plots onto the Google. You would be getting different values, right? And accordingly you can use them. For now let's use this viridis only. And apart from providing this color according to the values and this theme, we can also provide color bar, so that we would be able to see the color bar that which particular color is for which value. Let's see that. And here we need to provide plt.colorbar and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here we need to provide label for the color bar. So for that we need to give this label equals to, and here we will keep this label as the weight. Why weight? Because we are changing the color based on the weight. So here we are providing label as the weight. You can provide xyz, abc, any label, but just to keep it relevant, we are providing label in relationship with this color, right? Because we are changing the color based on the weight. So let's provide weight here. And now let's click on to execute cell again. And see, we are able to get this color bar where for the each value different color is appearing. So for this 50, which is a weight, right, we have this purple, dark purple color. For this 65 we have little greenish color, right? For the 85 we have yellow color. So accordingly we are able to see the color map. And as per your requirement, you can use this color map. It is not necessary to use, but it is just the bonus onto the scatter plot that you can use these color maps here. Here let me provide title and we are good. So plt.title and opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide title as height versus weight color map. You can provide any title. And here let's provide color map within the brackets, so that you will get to know by looking at the graph that you are just trying to put the color map. It is not necessary to put this color map or any of this title, but just to show you the graph properly, I am putting this particular title. So see, we have got this title. Accordingly, you can also add the label, which are x label, y label, and more details as per your requirement. So cmap automatically assign colors based on the values, right? Here it assigned the color based on the weight value. You can also do the same based on the height. And plt.colorbar, what it is doing? It is adding a color scale to interpret those colors. That's it. Now let's go to the next section, which is histogram. And now instead of individual points, what if we want to understand an overall spread of data? And that's where histogram helps. So what is histogram? A histogram shows how data is distributed. Instead of comparing like bar chart, histogram helps us understand spread of data, clustering, frequency, and distribution patterns. Here are some examples of histogram like student marks distribution, salary distribution, age distribution, and website response time. And now let's see the practical example for the histogram. Let me copy this heading. Let's go to VS Code, and here let me add one more markdown, and let's provide double hash and then this heading, and now click on to this tick. So stop editing, and we have got proper heading here, which is for the section histogram. And before plotting the histogram chart, we need to create data. For that, let me click onto this code cell, and first we will create the data and then we will plot the histogram. So what kind of data which is required? So we need distributed data. So let's take an example of this particular student marks distribution. So we would be having list or NumPy array of different marks. Let's see how to create them. So here we can provide the scores as the variable name and then equals to. And here either you can use the list or the NumPy array. For the list you can use square brackets, and for the NumPy array we can simply provide np.array. It's totally up to you which you want to use. And then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and then opening and closing of square brackets. And here let's provide some marks. So here let's provide 45, 55, 60, 65, 70. I'm just providing some student scores, right, which are distributed. So 70, 72, 75, 77, 78, 79, 80, 82, 85, 88, 90, 92, 95, and like this we can provide any distributed data. Here we need to put comma. And now let's create the histogram using this particular distributed student score data. So for that, what we need to do, we need to use this plt dot, and here what is the function which we need to use to plot histogram. So for that we need to use this hist, which is for histogram, hist, right? And then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here we can provide our data. So only one data set we need to provide, which is scores. Let's provide it here for the hist function. And here for now let me just plot the plain histogram. Here let's provide this plt.show, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. Now let's click onto this execute cell and see we have plotted our histogram where we are able to see the distributed data. So here we can see our scores are distributed, right? Here between 70 to 80 we are able to see some high scores, and here between 70 to 80, 85 we are able to see multiple scores, right? And in this region near 50, 60 we are having less scores. And like this we are able to see our distributed data onto the histogram. For now we have not provided any style or any of the argument with this histogram function. Let's provide that now. So let's provide comma here after our data, and here let's provide bins. What is bins? I will just tell you. So bins equals to, here I will give this 5. And now let's click on to execute cell and see our data is distributed into 5 bins, which would be like 45 to 55, 55 to 65, 65 to 75, 75 to 85, and 85 to 95. And like this you can change this bins value. Let's provide it like 10. So we would be able to see different 10 bins. Let's click on to execute cell, and here we are able to see 10 bins, right? Different 10 sets like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And accordingly you can change this bins value, which is to divide data into different groups, right? These are different sets or groups which we have created using this bins. So more bins means more details, right? More detailed graph. And fewer bins will be larger blocks. So here let's say if I provide 2, and let's click on to execute cell and see we are able to see 2 larger blocks this time. For now let me keep it as 10. Let's click on to execute cell, and we are able to see detailed graph with the different groups. And here we can also provide some style property like color. Let's provide color as the parameter name equals to, and its value as the purple. And after that let's provide the age color as the black. So age color equals to black. Within the quotes we need to provide this color value. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see the color is purple, and we are able to see proper ages, right? So this time you would be able to calculate proper bins also. Last time you will not be able to visualize it, but now you will be able to see the proper ages like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Because we have provided 10 bins. If you will provide 2, so you would be able to see different ages, right? See, for now let me keep it as 10 only. Let's click on to execute cell, and we have got the data. And like this you can try to change these values. You can try to plot this particular histogram with the different data. And for now let me provide title, x label, y label. So plt.title for providing the title, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's provide title as student score distribution. And now let's provide x label and y label. For now you need not to be worried about it that where exactly we are going to use it. I am just giving you a high level idea with some simple example. While we would be learning AI engineering, we would be using some of these graphs, right? There you would be able to see it with more proper practical example. For now, just understand it that what is it and how to create such charts or graphs, right? Here let's provide plt.xlabel, and here let's provide xlabel as score. And now let's provide ylabel. So plt.ylabel, and here let's provide ylabel as number of students. And if you will notice, we have not provided second arguments for the y-axis. Automatically it is calculating like between this range, between 45 to 50, how many students are there or how many data sets are there. So here only one was there. Between here, if you will see, between 75 to 80, there are 4 items or 4 students may be there, right? Here if you will check the data, so see between 75 and 80 we have this 75, 77, 78, 79. Here between 75 and 80 you would be able to see we have these many data, right? Most of the students are having scores between 75 to 80. And similarly we have this 80 to 85 and other scores which are distributed, right? For that only we are kind of making this histogram plot. And now just pause for a second and observe which score range has most students. Where are scores concentrated? Are scores evenly distributed? So like this we can observe our histogram chart. Histograms are heavily used in data science, machine learning, statistics, analytics, because understanding data distribution is extremely important before training AI models. Here we can have one more example for plotting this histogram chart with more realistic demo data using NumPy. Let's see that. So for now we have plotted this histogram with very smaller set of data, but in real projects data sets are usually much larger. So instead of manually writing hundreds of numbers, we can generate realistic sample data using NumPy. For now we are not kind of importing any realistic data, but we would be generating near realistic data by using NumPy. Let's see the practical example. For that, let me add one more code cell. So here we would be generating some random number or scores using NumPy. Let's see how to do that. Here I am using same variable name, which is scores equals to, and this time rather than creating data manually, which was the small data set, we would be using NumPy here. So for that we need to provide this np.random. How to use this NumPy, that I've already explained, right? If you have not watched my NumPy related video, I would highly recommend you to watch that video. To watch that video, you can click onto this I button at top right corner, or I will provide link of that video into the description below. Now here we need to provide this np.random, and here we will be using this normal. And here we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis, and then we would be passing some arguments. So here I will provide one argument which is LOC, and then its value we can provide as 75. So what this LOC equals to 75 means? It means we want to generate the numbers where average value is around 75. That's the simplest explanation for this. So the average value for the generated number will be 75. Now here is one more argument which we can provide is the scale. So provide comma, then scale, which is the parameter name, equals to, and its value let's provide as 10. So what is this scale equals to 10? Which means spread the value plus minus 10. So let's say most of the values are cluttered around 75. So we want to spread the values from 65, which is minus 10, and then 85, which is plus 10. And now let's provide the size, that how many numbers we want to generate. So let's provide comma and then size equals to, and here let's give size as 200. So here we are going to generate 200 numbers where the mean or the center of the data or the average will be around 75, and the spread would be plus minus 10, right? So that's why we have provided 10. You can also provide 20, 15, that's up to you. Now let me just see this data. Let's provide scores here to see its value. Let's click on to execute cell and see it is generating multiple numbers. So it has generated 200 numbers, and if you will see, mean of these numbers or average of these numbers would be around 75. So these are distributed data, or you can consider them as the score. And now let's plot the histogram by using this particular data. So to plot the histogram, what we need to do, we need to use this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot, and then we need to provide dot, and here we need to use this hist, and here let's provide scores. And like this we can also provide other arguments. Let's provide them. So let's provide bins equals to, this time I am providing it 20, and now let's provide color equals to pink. You can provide any color, then provide comma and then each color, equals to, and let's provide edge color as red or black, you can provide, right? And now let's click onto this execute cell so that we would be able to see basic histogram. We have got these details because we have not provided plt.show. And now let's again click onto this execute cell and see we have got our histogram. And here if you will see, most of the scores has range around 75, where we have provided scale as the 10. So you would be able to see more data between 65 to 85, and then it is distributed accordingly. This is just the sample data which I've tried to generate. You can generate or put any of the data, or you can just import any data from the Excel and use it. You can just copy paste the data, that's totally up to you. So here most of the score is concentrated around this particular range. And here if you will observe into this particular graph, that some of the numbers are going above 100. We don't want that, right? We want the scores or numbers between 0 to 100. So we can clip this random data also. So for that again we would be using NumPy only. And how to clip that? So here we can provide any variable name. Let's provide scores1 or scores clipped, anything you can provide, right? Scores1 I am providing equals to, and here we need to use this NumPy, which is np.clip is the function name, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide our random scores which got generated. And now we want to clip it between 0 to 100. So we need to provide 0 as the argument, then comma, and then 100 as the next argument. So we want to clip all the scores between 0 to 100. And here let's draw this histogram for this scores1. So let's provide scores1 here. And this time we should be able to see data between 0 to 100 only. We should not be seeing this particular data section, right? Let's click onto this execute cell. And see, we have the data between 0 to 100 only. It is not going below the 50, but now it is not going above the 100, right? There can be the data which can be 10, 20, so that can appear still, but it will not go below the 0 and it will not go above 100. This is just random data. If you will again execute it, you would be able to see a little bit of different graph. And now here let's provide title, x label, y label, so that our graph looks proper. So plt.title. And here let's give the title as test score distribution. Here you can provide 200 students, right? Because we have generated 200 random numbers or 200 scores. So here let's give 200 students. Now let's provide x label. So here we need to provide this plt.xlabel and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's give score. And here let's provide y label also. So let's give plt.ylabel, and here we will give number of students. So number of students. And now let's click onto this execute cell, and we would be able to see proper graph or our histogram with the title, x label, y label. So here we are able to see scores at the x-axis and number of students, because let's say 5 students got marks near 75. Here as you can observe, this is 70 and 80. So between 70 and 80 we have multiple students. See 20, 15, 20, 25. So multiple students are there between this particular range. We have provided the scale as 10. So data will get distributed between this plus minus 10 range. Like this you can generate any random data. Try to change this value to something 100, right? Change the scale to 20. Change the size to 500, right? So that you will be getting more larger data, and then you would be able to plot the histogram for that particular distributed data. It can be store and it can be any other data like salary distribution, age distribution, and so on, right? Now so far we have visualized trends, comparisons, relationships, and distributions. Now let's visualize percentages and proportions. And for that we are going to use pie chart. So what is pie chart? A pie chart shows proportion or percentages. Here are some examples where we can use pie chart, like monthly budget split, market share, expense breakdown, vote percentages. Each slice represents part of the whole. Let's see the practical example. Here let me copy this heading and let's go to VS Code. And here I will add one markdown. So click onto this markdown and press # and then this particular heading. And here let's press Ctrl Alt Enter. So we have got our heading, which is for this section, right? Pie chart. Now let's prepare our data. For that, let me add one more code cell. And here let's take an example of this monthly budget split. Here I will create a list with the name categories. Then equals to, and then opening and closing of square brackets. And here we can provide some expense type like rent, food, transport, entertainment, and so on, right? Let's provide it here. So we need to provide it as the string, not the number, right? And here we cannot use NumPy. We can use NumPy for the numbers. For the string, we are directly using Python list. Let's provide some categories like rent. Within the single quotes or double quotes, we need to provide. Then food. Then transport. Then entertainment. And let's put savings. If you want to add more categories, you can add it. And after that, I will add one more type, which is others. So these are different types for our monthly expenses data. Now let's create one more list for the amounts. For that, you can use NumPy array or the Python list. For now, we are just putting small set of data. So simply we can use list also. So let's provide amounts equals to, and here for the rent, let's consider we are spending 40%. Then for the food, it is 25%. Then for the transport, 10%. Entertainment, 15%. Savings, 5%. And others, 5 I am putting. Now with this data, we can directly plot the pie chart, very basic pie chart. And there we can add colors and different styling and many more things. Right? For now, let's create the pie chart. So for that, what we need to do, we need to use this plt.py. So this is the function name. And here we need to provide opening and closing of round parentheses. And then let's provide this amounts. So your whole circle will get divided into multiple parts, right? If you are already aware about the pie chart. So it would be like circle, and there you would be able to see different sections based on this amount. So a circle is whole 100%, right? Out of that 100%, there would be a 40% result for the rent, 25% result for the food, and so on. For now, let's click onto this execute cell and see what is happening. Although we are not going to create such basic pie chart, but I just wanted to show you that when you provide the data, so what is going to happen. For now, here we are just providing this percentage or numbers, right? And here before clicking on to execute cell, let's put this plt.show and then opening and closing of round parentheses. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see we have got the pie chart. Although here we are not able to identify that which part is for the food, which part is for the rent, transport, entertainment, right? But we have got the pie chart where there are different sections. Here we are able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections because we have provided 6 amounts here. And now let's add other things so that we would be able to see proper pie chart. And by just looking at the pie chart, we should be able to visualize that what is our data, right? What kind of data is there? What are different sections are there, right? Which section is for which particular category? So all the things we should be able to visualize by just looking at this pie chart. So now let's first add label. And for that, we can put comma here. And to put labels, what we need to do? We need to provide labels equals to, and here what we need to put? Here we want to put rent for this 40%. We want to put food as the label for this 25% and so on. So here we will put labels equal to these categories. Right? So automatically it will assign based on the index. For this 40 we will be getting rent. For the 25 we will be getting food. For this 15 we would be getting entertainment and so on, right? Now let's click on to this execute cell and see it is showing each and every category for different sections. For the rent, it is showing this blue section. For the food, it is showing orange section. For the transport, it is green and so on, right? But still, by looking at this graph, we are now able to see that in the rent, how much we are spending. Onto the food, how much we are spending. Onto transport, how much we are spending. So that's what we want to provide. And for that, we have one more parameter, which is autopct. Or full form would be auto percentage. Let's provide that. So here, let's put comma, or we can put enter, and then let's provide autopct. PCT is for percentage. And then we need to put equals to, and after that we need to provide its value. So value would be into this same format. You need to put it as the string, so single quotes or double quotes. And here you need to put a syntax which is percentage. And then we need to provide a number. Here I am providing 1, which is for minimum total width. So when we will be getting number, so it is related to the width between them. Although you need not to be worried about it, you can just simply put %1, right? And after that, what we are putting, that is important. So %1, you can simply put it like this into the same format. Percentage is just the starting format and 1 is the minimum total width. Just remember it like this. After that, we need to put that how many digits we want to provide after decimal. So for that we need to put this dot, and here let's provide 2 digits after decimal. Let's say 40.12. So after this dot we want to see 2 digits, and we want to see it into the float number. So for that we can put F here, and now let's click on to this execute cell. But before that we are getting this error. Okay, here I forget to provide this comma, right? So after each argument we need to provide comma, you need to remember that. And now let's click on to this execute cell, and see we are able to get this number here onto each and every section. See, for the rent we have got this 40, for the food we have got 25, for the saving we have got 5, for the others we have got 5. But what it is it a number or is it a percentage? So that also we want to mention. So for that, here into this auto percentage, what you can do, you can simply put a percentage there. So like this you can put a percentage, and here we need to put one more percentage so that it takes this character, right? And now let's click on to this execute cell, and see we are able to get percentage after each and every number. 40%, 25%, and here if you want to give a space, so after this dot to F you just put a space so that it would be appearing with the space here. So after the number we would be getting one space and then this percentage icon. Let's click on to this execute cell and see one space got added. So accordingly you can put it here. And here after this decimal, let's say if you want to see 3 digits, so in that case in place of this 2 you can put this 3. And now let's click on to this execute cell and see 3 numbers are appearing after this dot. For now let's provide 2 or 1 here only. And now let's click on to this execute cell again and see we are able to get proper number. So now we are able to visualize data, right? That for this rent, this section is there and its percentage is 40%. For the entertainment, this section is there and its percentage is 15%. But apart from that also we can add some more arguments so that our graph will look more appealing. Let's do that. So here one thing which we can do, that we can provide colors of our choice for this particular graph. So let's first do that. Where for the rent we want to provide different color, for the food we want to provide different colors. So how we can do that? So for that what we can do, we can create a list of colors. Let's do that. So let's provide the variable name as colors equals to, and here let's give opening and closing of square brackets, and let's provide some colors. If you want you can provide hex code also. For now I'm just providing direct colors. So let's provide brown here, then put comma, and then within the quotes, as we are providing string, so let's give orange. Next let's provide pink, then gray. Here it is comma, let me remove it, put a comma. Then let's put blue, and then we can put green or sky blue, whatever you want, right? Let's give green. Now we have provided different color for each section. So we are having 6 sections. So for that we have provided 6 different colors like brown, orange, pink, gray, blue and green. Now we can provide this particular argument with this py function. How to provide that? So for that we can put comma after any of the argument, and here we need to provide parameter name as colors, and then equals to, and here we need to provide this particular name. Here it is not necessary that you need to keep this variable name similar to this particular parameter name. If you want we can put colors1 so that you would be able to easily identify that which is parameter and which is its value. So let's provide this colors1 for this colors parameter. Any name you can provide for this particular variable, and the same name you need to provide here. And now let's click on to execute cell and see our color got changed. Here we are able to see brown and then orange, pink, gray, blue and green. And like this you can add any color. You can use hex codes to add different colors, different shades of colors. That's totally up to you. Now in the pie charts you must have already seen that sometimes they keep one section little bit outer side. So let's say we want to highlight this saving section. So we want to show it that it is appearing out of this particular pie chart. How to do that? Let's see that, so that you would be getting more idea that what I am talking about. So for that we need to provide one argument, and here the parameter name is explode. So let's provide explode here. So the spelling is explode, and then equals to, and here we need to provide its value. So how to provide its value? We cannot provide true and false. We need to provide that exactly which value we want to explode, or which section we want to show separately. So for that also we need to provide one more list. So let's create one more list here. Let's give the variable name as explode only, or you can provide any name. Let's give explode1 so that you would be able to identify that which one is parameter and which one is its value. And then equals to, and here we need to create one list where we need to provide that which section we want to highlight by showing it little outside and how much outside we want to see that particular section. Let's create this list. So for the rent, we don't want to separately show it, right? So we are putting 0. For the food also, we are putting 0. For the transport also, we are putting 0. Then for the entertainment, 0. And here let's just try to explode or separately show this savings. So for that, what I will do, I will provide this comma, and here we will provide this 0.2. And then for the others, we don't want to explode it for now, so we can put 0. So it is not like that you would only be able to explode only one section. You can explode multiple sections, like you can provide 0.2 for the others also, so it will be showing two different sections coming out of this particular pie chart. For now, let me provide this particular variable name as the argument here for this explode parameter. And now let's click onto this execute cell. And see, this particular saving section is appearing separately, right? It is appearing that it has exploded from this particular pie chart. So that is the benefit of using this explode one. So if we want to highlight it, that how much saving is it out of the monthly budget, so we can do so. And as I told, we can explode any section. So let's try to explode this others also. So for that, let's give 0.1 here. So it will get exploded, but little bit less as compared to the saving, because for that we have provided 0.2. Let's click onto this execute cell and see others is also coming out of this particular pie chart. And like this, you can explode any of the section. Let's try to explode this food. So for the food, we have this index, which is 1, right? Second position. So here I will give 0.2. You can explode it as per your requirement. So 0.1. Now let's click onto this execute cell and see food is also getting highlighted because it is appearing little bit outside of this particular pie chart. And like this, you can explode any of the section. For that, you will have to just provide this explode as the parameter, and then its value would be a list where you can explode any section by providing this factor. So here if you will put 0.9, so it will get very away from the graph. So see, this other is appearing like this. For now, let's move it to the 0.1, and now let's click onto this execute cell, and that's it, right? You can play with these numbers and see what is happening. So for now, our graph is appearing like this only, where we have rent, then other savings. But now, what if we want to rotate our graph? So for that, we can use one parameter name, which is start angle. So here, let's give it start angle equals to, and now we need to provide its value. So let's rotate our chart at an angle of 90. So let's provide 90 here, and now let's click on to execute cell and see what is happening. Rather than me explaining it, you would be able to see it by visualizing it. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see our graph got rotated 90%. Right? This rent was appearing here, so it got rotated 90 degree in the anti-clockwise direction. Let's say if I provide 180 here, so it will again get rotated totally 180 degree. So 90 degree it is already rotated. It will again rotate it anti-clockwise more 90 degrees. So total would be 180 degree. Now let's click onto this execute cell and see this rent is appearing here. Previously it was appearing here. Saving was appearing here. So now it is appearing here because we have rotated whole graph at 180 degree. And like this, you can provide any start angle here. And apart from that, one more argument we can provide, which will put an impact onto the style. And here we can put shadow. So comma and then shadow equals to, and here we just need to provide boolean value, which is true or false. So by default it is false only. So if you want to change it to true, so for that we can put shadow equals to true. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see for the whole pie chart, and for each and every section we are able to see the shadow into the light green color. So it's totally up to you if you want to provide little bit shadow so that it will give a slight 3D look. And if you want to format it properly, in that case you can hit enter after each and every argument. Let me do that quickly, and it is totally optional, but just to show the code properly, we can put it into the proper format. And now our most of the self-explanatory proper looking pie chart is ready. One more thing which we can add is title. So let's provide that. So for that we need to provide this plt.title and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's give the title as any string. Let's provide monthly budget split. And now let's again click onto this execute cell and we would be able to see the title. Let's click here and see our title is appearing like monthly budget split. With this title also you can add more style that I'm not doing, that we have already seen with the line chart. The same thing you can apply here. For the pie chart, X label, Y label will not be applicable, right? Because we are already showing labels like this. we are also showing percentage here only. So it is not required here in case of pie chart. And here one thing which you need to remember with this explode, that you need to explode each section carefully. Each value here which we are providing matches with one slide. So 0 means no movement, 0.2 means full slide outwards, right? Or highlight it properly by exploding it. So this explode is going to help in highlighting important categories. Like here we have highlighted savings, others, and any category you can highlight as per your requirement. It is not necessary that you would be creating pie chart just for the monthly budget. I have already given some of the examples, like you can do it for the market share, for the vote percentages. If you would be seeing any election results, so in that case you would be able to see pie chart, right? So that's how we can plot the pie chart. And here one thing you can remember, that this labels, colors, explode values must match the number of slices, which means for each of the data which we are creating, so whatever the length which the data would be having, the same length we would be having for the categories, colors and explode values. And usually pie charts work best when you have a small number of categories. Too many slices make charts difficult to read. And now here pause and observe. Let me open this chart into separate window, and here don't consider any code, just observe which category takes the biggest percentage. Are you able to visualize it? Can you instantly understand spending patterns without reading raw numbers? Right? We are able to do that. That's the power of visualization. We are not able to see any of the data, but we are able to get that onto the food we are spending 25%. On transport we are spending 10%. Our most of the expense is happening for the rent. So accordingly you can visualize it by just looking at this particular pie chart. That's why I have separately opened this particular pie chart, so that you do not have any data, right? You are not able to see this particular data, but you are able to visualize it. And here into this section also you can do zoom in, zoom out, right? By clicking onto this, and then you can save it, you can delete it. So it's totally up to you. Now let me close it and let's go to our Python notebook. Until now we displayed one chart at a time, but real dashboards often contain multiple charts together. And that is where the subplots come into picture. So what is subplot? Subplot allows us to place multiple charts inside one figure. This is heavily used in dashboards, reports, analytics tools, and data science projects. There are two different types of subplots. One would be one-dimensional and second one would be two-dimensional. In the one-dimensional, we can have one row and two or more columns side by side. And in the two-dimensional, we can have multiple rows and columns. Let's see the practical example. Here if you want, you can add 2 plus, and here also there can be more than 2 plus rows and 2 plus columns, right? Let me copy this subplots heading. Let's go to VS Code, and here let me add this markdown. So click on this markdown and provide double hash and then this particular heading, and click onto this stick, and we have got our section heading, which is subplots. So as I told, here we are going to have one main window, and inside that we would be having multiple charts. So the main window or the entire window calls figure, and the individual subcharts calls axis. Now let's add one code cell and let's put some data. Here let's create some NumPy arrays. So here I will give variable name as x for the x-axis, right? And then np.array, and then opening and closing of round parentheses, and then opening and closing of square brackets. And here let's provide 1, 2, 3, then 4, then 5. And like this, you can put any number here. Just for the example, we are creating some data here, right? So that we can see multiple charts or multiple plots, right? Now here for the y-axis, let's create some data. So y1 I will give equals to, and here again we will use this NumPy array. So np.array, and then opening and closing of round parentheses, opening and closing of square brackets, and let's provide some numbers here for each and every x value. So 10, 20, then 30, 40, 25. So we have put these 5 numbers here. Similarly, let's create one more NumPy array which we would be using to plot the graphs. So y2 is the variable name which we are giving, and then np.array, and then opening and closing of round parentheses, opening and closing of square brackets, and then 5, 15, 10, and numbers you can give, right? 20, 18. Now how to create subplots? So in that case, we are going to use one function which is subplots. Let's see how to use that. So here what we need to do, we need to provide this plt, which is alias of matplot.pyplot, and then we need to provide subplots, which is the function name, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here what exactly we want to provide, we want to provide rows and numbers. So for now here we are going to create one D array. So in that case, how many rows would be there? One row would be there only, right? And how many columns? So here let's put 2 columns. If you want, you can put more columns here at the second argument. And that's it. This will create our subplots, which will have one main figure, and then it will be having axes, which means it will be having subplots. So how to use them? So to use them, what we need to do, here we need to take these values, right? We need to assign this subplots value. So usually to assign the values, what we do, we create a variable, then equals to, and then the value. So here the same thing we are going to do, but here we are going to get 2 values. One is the figure. So for that we can use this fig, any variable name you can give, right? x1, y1, or figure, or fig1, axis, anything you can give, right? So here I am giving figure or fig as the short form, and then comma, and then axis, and then equals to. So here we are going to get figure, and here we are going to use this axis. And as I told, you can give any variable name here, right? 2 variable name you need to give, figure, axis. That also you can give fig1, axis1, or x1, whatever you feel that you should give. As per your requirement, you can give these names. But now how to plot our graphs or charts? So in that case, we are going to use these axes. How to use them? So here, previously, let's say we wanted to plot any line chart. So in that case, what we were doing plt.plot. But this time we would be using this axis.plot or axis.bar or axis.histogram. You can plot any of the graph, right? axis.py, it's up to you. So let's use this axis, and here at which location or which particular subplot we want to use. So we have one row and we have multiple columns. In this case, we have 2 columns. So for now we want to use first column. So in that case, what we can do, we can provide columns index. So index would start from n-1, which means for the first column, we need to provide 0 here. And then after that, we would be using this dot and then plot. So rather than using this plt.plot, we are creating subplots, okay? And by using this axis, we are providing that which axis or subplot we want to use. So here, first subplot we want to use. So we have given index number for that. And then we need to provide dot and then the plot. And here let's provide details for this particular line chart. So for the line chart, we use this plot, right? And as I told you, can give bar, histogram, pie chart, scatter chart, right? So that's totally up to you. And here opening and closing of round parentheses we need to put for this line chart. And let's provide x and y value. So here I will give variable name as x. And then second argument we will pass for the y-axis. So let's use this y1. And here if you want to add any specific property related to the specific chart or graph, so that you can give. For now, I'm just keeping it plain. I will add color also, but for now let's keep it like this only with the default color. Now let's use this plt.show to show the graph that you need to give at the end of whatever the chart you are trying to plot. You need to give this plt.show, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And now let's click on to this execute cell and see we have got one plot. This is the line chart, right? And we are getting data based on this x, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and y values are 10, 20, 30, 40, and 25. So for that we have got the line chart. And we have got one more chart, but it is empty. Why? Because we have not plotted any chart or graph. We have just used this axis 0, which is for this particular column, right? Which is for the first column. So here we have one single row and multiple columns. You can consider it like the grid, right? And here for this first line chart, let's provide color also. So color equals to, and let's give the color name as green. You can provide any color here. If you want, you can use hex code also. Similarly, if you want, you can provide marker also equals to, and here I will give marker value as O. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see we have got the marker as well as the color. And as I told, if you want, you can add any of the property related to the style that you would be able to see here. So it is very similar. We are just using this axis 0 rather than using plt directly, so that we can see subplots. And here let me provide one title also. So to provide the title, what you need to do, again you need to use this axis, then index number, which is 0. And here to give the title for these subplots, what we need to do, we need to provide this dot, and rather than using that title directly, we need to use this set underscore title. And here we can provide any title for this axis 0, which is for this particular chart. So let's give its name as line chart. So line chart. Now let's do the same thing for this second column, right? Into the first row, we have the second column. For now, it is blank because we have not plotted anything there. So to do so, what we need to do, we need to again use this access, and then we need to provide the index number. In this case, for the second position column, the index number would be n-1, which will be 1. And after that, we need to provide the function name. So whatever the plot or graph which you want to plot, accordingly, you can give the function name. So here, let's try to plot scatter plot. So in that case, what you need to do, you need to provide dot and then scatter. And for the scatter also, we need to provide x and y values so that we can provide x, comma, and here let's provide y2. And here again, if you want to provide any other properties, that you can do. For now, let's give the title also. So xs1, and here we need to provide this dot, and then again set underscore title, and here let's provide this scatter plot, right? So any title you can give. I'm just giving the graph name so that we would be able to see it. Okay, now let's click on to this execute cell. So now we should be able to see the title for both the graph, and here we should be able to see the same plot, right, which is the line chart, and here we should be able to see the scatter plot. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see, here we have got the scatter plot, here we have got the line chart, right? For the axis 0, we have the line chart. For the axis 1, we have got the scatter plot. And like this, you can plot multiple plots inside one figure, right? So this is one figure, and inside it, we have two subplots, which are axes. And apart from that, all the properties which we have learned, right, for the line chart, where we have provided multiple styles, right, marker, line width, line height. So all these things would be applicable, this x label, y label, so that you can try to use in case of subplots also. Here, let's say we are using these scatter plots. So in that case also, you can provide this color as alpha. So everything you can provide for the specific scatter plot also, or whatever the plot or the graph or the chart which you are using. Accordingly, whatever we have learned for the specific type, you can provide all those properties, right? So that is open ground, right? You can play here, right? You can try to provide different values. You can try to plot different charts, and you should be able to see what is happening. And here one more thing I would like to add, which is an argument which we can provide with this subplots. And what is that? So it is figure size. So for now, we are getting these subplots of a specific size, so that we can control. For now, it is appearing as the rectangular box, right? But we can control it. How to do that? So here, let's go to this plt.subplots, and after providing row and comma values, what we need to do, we need to put a comma, and then we can use this parameter which is figsize, and then equals to, and here we need to provide its value as the tuple. So opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here we can provide two items inside tuple. Let's try to provide 10, 4, and let's see the graph that what changes it is making. Let's click onto this execute cell. So see, width of the graph got increased because we have provided 10 here, and the 4 is for the height. Let's try to put 15 here, and let's give 4 as it is. Now again, let's click onto this execute cell and see, width again got increased. If you want to increase the height, you can change value of this second item. You can make it 5, 6, right? And accordingly check that whatever the suitable width and height is for you, you can provide that. For now, let's provide 10, 4 only. Let's again click onto this execute cell, and we have got this particular width. And you can try to play with it. Here you can try to provide one row, but 3 columns, and see how it is appearing. In that case, to plot a third subplot, what you will have to do, you'll have to use this axis and then 2, right? Here we just need to provide column index 0, 1, 2, 3. That's it. In case of 1D subplots. And here we can use one more property, which is with the plt. So plt dot tight underscore layout. So let's provide that. So tight underscore layout, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. So what it does, so it automatically adjusts spacing between the charts so labels don't overlap. Now let's click onto this execute cell and see, automatically it has adjusted space between these two graphs. If you will provide X label, Y label, so accordingly it will change its spacing so that labels don't get overlapped. You can try to provide X label, Y label, and see how it is appearing. And just to properly view it, you can use this plt dot tight underscore layout. Now we know how to use this 1D subplots. In the similar pattern, we can also use 2D subplots, where we can have multiple rows and multiple columns. Let's see how to do that. So for that, let me add one more new code cell. And here again, we need to use this plt.subplots. But in this case, we will be providing rows more than 1 and columns more than 1. Let's see how to use that. So here, let's use this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot. And here after this we need to provide dot and then subplots, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And now we need to provide row numbers and column numbers. So let's provide 2 rows and 2 columns. So here we are going to get 2 rows, and inside each row we are going to have 2 columns. So in total we are going to see 4 subplots. And here, as I already shown, that we can also provide this fig size, which is for the figure size. So fig size equals to, and then its value would be a tuple. And here let's provide width and height. So in this case I am providing it like 10, 8. Why I am providing 10, 8, I will show you, right? For now let's plot the graph. So let's get figure and axis value. For that, what we need to do, we can provide fig1, axis1, or any name you can give, right? And then equals to. Usually you would be seeing fig or figure, axis here, right? I just wanted to show you that you can use any name. And now here let's create some data also. Before that I will be creating. After that also you can create. So let's create one NumPy array where we will provide x equals to np.array, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, opening and closing of square brackets. And here let's provide some numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. And like this you can provide any numbers. This is just the sample data for learning this particular concept. Now let's try to plot different subplots. So now this time this is 2D subplot. So in that case, how we will mention that where we want to plot the specific graph or chart. So in that case, again we need to use this axis only. So axis, the name is axis1, so we would be providing the same name whatever you give here. If you provide ax here, so here also you will have to provide ax. Let's do it like this, ax. So here also we need to use this ax, and then opening and closing of square brackets. And now we have 4 subplots. So we have first row where we have 2 columns. In the second row we have 2 columns. So in total we have 4 charts. And here we want to plot into the first row and first column, which would be our first subplot. So in that case, what you need to do, we need to provide index. So here we need to provide row and column values. So index for first row would be 0, and index for first column would be 0. And after that we need to provide dot. You can plot any of the graph or chart. Accordingly you will have to give the data, right? For now I will just use this plot function only to show each and every subplot, but it's totally up to you. You can try to use different plots or graphs, and that is your assignment. For now let's use this plot only. And here we need to provide x and y value. So x value we will provide x here, and let's provide y value as double of this x. So in that case, here we are using NumPy. So what we can do, to double each and every value, we can directly provide this x into 2. That's it. So our x will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and our y will be double of these numbers. So it would be 1, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, right? And here let's quickly provide the color and then the title. So comma space color equals to, let's give the color name as red. You can give any color name, any hex code, that's totally up to you. And rather than providing more properties that we have already learned, let's provide some title. So x, and then again we need to provide index number, so 0th row and then 0th column, right? And then dot set underscore title, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide title as x into 2 only, right? You can provide any title, it's totally up to you. And now let's click onto this execute style. But before clicking onto this execute style, let me correct out some of the typo errors which I've made. So here we need to provide array here, and here for this subplots also I have provided this wrong spelling. It should be figure size, fig size. I have missed the g, so we need to provide fig size, right? Fig size. Now let's click onto this execute cell and see we have got our plots. For now we have got this line because we have not provided plt.show. Let me provide that also, opening and closing of round parenthesis. Now let's click onto this execute cell and that line is gone. And here we are able to see 4 charts or graphs, right? But these 3 are empty because we have just used this x 0th row 0th column. So that's why we have got graph like this here, where we are getting x-axis for this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and y-axis for the double value. Because here we have provided x into 2, this we can provide for the NumPy array, right? Which will automatically multiply 2 with each and every number. And similarly, we can plot each and every subplot. Let's do that quickly. So let's try to plot it here, which will be first row and second column. So for that, the index would be 0th row index and 1 column index. Let's do that. So here we need to use this axis for which we have given name as ax, and then opening and closing of square brackets. And here let's provide index for the first row, which will be 0, and index for the second column, which is this one. The index would be 1, which is n minus 1. And then we need to use this plot. You can use any function. And here let's provide x and y value. So here I will provide x value as x only and y value as x to the power 2. So for that, what we can do, we can provide x double star and then 2. About all these NumPy operations we have already learned, right? If you have not watched my NumPy related video, I would highly recommend you to watch that video. For that, you can click onto this I button at top right corner, or you can access the same video under the comment section below. And here let's provide color also. So comma color equals to, and here let's keep the color as blue. And let's give the title also. So ax, and then opening and closing of square brackets, and then 0, 1, the same index we need to provide. Then dot set underscore title. And here let's provide double quotes and then x double star 2. This is just the title. You can provide any title here. Just to make it relevant, I am providing title like this because for the y-axis we are plotting this x to the power 2. So for our x we would be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But for the y we would be having 1, 4, 9, 16, 25 like this, right? 36, 49. For now we are able to see default x and y values because we have not plotted anything. But now we have plotted this particular subplot. Now let's click onto this execute cell. And see, we have got this particular subplot where we have x values and y values, and graph is getting plotted like this. For the power, we would be having plot like this. Now similarly, let's plot graphs from the second row. So for that, again we need to use the index number. So ax, opening and closing of square brackets. So for the second row, the index would be 1. So 1 comma, and here this is the first column. So for that, the index would be 0. And then we need to provide this plot, opening and closing of round parenthesis. Let's give the value of x as x only, and then for the y we can provide x to the power 3. So x double star and 3. And here let's give the color as orange. So color equals to orange. Let's set the title also. So ax and then 1 comma 0, which is for the second row and first column. And then we need to provide dot then set underscore title. And here let's give the same title for this y-axis name. So within the single quotes or double quotes, what we need to provide? We need to provide title. It can be any string. So x into 3 or x double star 3. Similarly, let's click on to execute cell. And here we have got this particular plot where we are getting x to the power 3 for the y-axis. Now let's do the same where we will do x to the power 4. So for that, what we need to do? Again, we need to provide ax, and where we want to plot it? We want to plot it into the second row and second column. So for that, the index would be n minus 1. So index would be 1 comma 1, and then we need to provide dot plot. Any chart or graph name you can provide here, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide x comma x to the power 4. So for that, x double star 4. And here let's give the color as green. So comma color equals to within the quotes green. And let's give the title also. So ax square brackets and then 1 comma 1 dot set underscore title. And let's give title as x to the power 4 only. So x double star 4. Let's click on to execute cell again, and see we have got 4 different plots where we have x value, y value. It can be different, right? It is not necessary that you can have similar x values and y values. You can have different x values, different y values, or even different set of data. And for now we have given this subplots 2 comma 2, but you can try it with 2 comma 3 also, where you would be having 2 rows but 3 columns. Let me just quickly give you the glimpse how it will appear. So 2 comma 3, click onto this execute cell, and see we have got 2 rows and 3 columns. And one thing you remember, I provided this figure size equals to 10 comma 8. So overall we have this 10 width, right? It is not like that we are increasing width of each and every subplot. We are providing total figure size. So total width of the figure and total height of the figure we are providing. So here let's say if you do 20, so in that case you would be having very large width. Let's click on to execute cell. So see, its width got increased. Height is same only. Height is 8, which we have provided. Previously we have provided 4 as the height because we wanted to show only 1 row. But here we have provided 8 because we wanted to show 2 rows. So here if we want to make it 10, so overall figure height will get increased. which will increase height of each and every subplot also. Let's click here and see height also got increased. So accordingly you can provide these values. For now I will keep it as 10, 8 only, and I will just create the subplots for 2, 2. Let's provide 10, 8 here, and here for now let's create subplots for 2 rows and 2 columns only. But just for your information, I have tried to increase these numbers, and for your practice and for your assignment you can try to plot 3 rows 3 columns and try to plot different type of graphs or charts like bar chart, scatter plot, line chart, histogram. So different graphs you can try to plot and see how it is appearing. For now let me make it 2, 2 only. Let's click on to execute cell again and see we are only able to see 2 items. You can try to do 3, 3. So in that case you would be having 9 subplots. And here previously, as I told you, we can also use this plt.tight_layout so that things do not get overlapped. Let's provide that. So plt.tight_layout, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's click onto this execute cell. So automatically it will adjust spacing between these graphs. For now we are not providing any label. If you want to provide it, so in that case what you'll have to do, again you'll have to use this x, opening and closing of square brackets, and here for this 0th row 0th column, what we can do, we can try to provide x label. So let's give dot, and here rather than using x label and y label directly, what we need to do, we need to provide set underscore and then x label for the x label. For the y label you need to provide dot set underscore y label, and here we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis, and let's give this x label as x values. So x values, you can provide any x label, any y label as per your requirement. Now let's try to set y label also for this first row first column. So for that again you need to provide this axis, which is ax in our case, right, because we have provided this ax here, and then we need to provide 0, 0, and here we need to provide dot set underscore y label, and here let's provide it like this, x into 2 values or y values. And now let's click onto this execute cell and see we have got this x values, y values, and accordingly these spacing got adjusted. Here also if you will provide y label, so accordingly the spacing between the graphs will get adjusted because we are using this plt.tight_layout. And as I told you, for the assignment you can try to provide 3, 3 or 4, 4 and try to provide multiple of graph charts or plots, right? And now let's make our charts look more professional using styles and customization. So this is our next section where we are going to learn that Matplotlib provides built-in themes and styling options to create professional looking charts. Let's see the practical example here. For now let me copy this particular heading and let's go to VS Code. Here let me add one markdown and let's provide this section heading. So double hash and then this heading. I'm calling it section, right? Because we have tried to learn this Matplotlib into different section, right? In the first section we learned that how to install Matplotlib. In the second section we learned about line charts and so on. We have seen different sections, and this is the section for the styling and customization. Let's click onto the stick icon and we have got our heading. Now let's click onto this code cell, and here we would be seeing some practical examples. So as I told, Matplotlib provides built-in themes and styling options to create professional looking charts. So what are all these options? So for that what we can do, we can just get all these values by using this plt.style and .available, which will provide us list of all the themes and styling options. So plt.style.available. Now let's click on to execute cell. If you are using this .py files, in that case you can use the print statement and see we have got the whole list. Like here we have got ggplot, fast, dark background, classic, BMH, and many more options, right? You can use them accordingly. How to use that? So in that case what you'll have to do, so here we need to provide this plt.style and then we need to provide this .use, and now let me provide this dark underscore background. So within this use function we need to provide one argument which will be a string, and here as the string what we need to pass any of these options. So let's provide this dark underscore background, and now let's click onto this execute cell. So now it has set this dark background for our all the plots. So let's try to execute any of the old code cell. Let's try to execute this subplot section. Click onto this execute cell and see we have got our plot but into dark background because we have used this dark underscore background. So this particular style got applied for each and every graph. So whatever the previous graphs which we are having, on that also it will get applied, and whatever the new graphs or charts we are going to plot, so for that also we are going to have this same style. So for now it is having this dark background which is black for each and every plot, right? This is the figure, and inside it we are having these 4 subplots. Similarly, let me execute this particular section. See, here also we have got the dark background. Similarly, let me execute this, and see, we have got the dark background. Accordingly, for this background, this text color will get adjusted. So you can try to set different values. How to see different values? So in that case, you just need to print this plt.style.available. You would be able to see all the list, and accordingly you can use any of the option by providing this plt.style.use function, and there you can provide any of the option for the style. And as an assignment, you can try to use different style and see how your graph is looking. So it's totally up to you which style you want to use, and the style which we apply will automatically change color, background, grids, fonts, overall appearance, right? So it is kind of theme which we are applying. You can try styles like ggplot, seaborn style. So just try to print it, use any one of the value and try to see that how your plot or graph is looking. For now, let me change it to ggplot. Now let's click onto this execute cell, and now let me execute this so that we would be able to see how our plot is looking. See, this color got changed, background color got changed, font style got changed, right? Font color got changed. So every appearance will get changed. So as I told, it is kind of the theme which we are applying, and it will get applied for each and every graph, plot or chart. Now under this styling and customization section, let's talk about grid. For that, let me add one more code cell, and here let me add the comment which is grid or grid control you can add. Now let's create some data and then see how to provide grid for the graph. So let's create value for the x-axis. For that, I will provide this variable name as x equals to, and here let's use the Python list only, and let's provide some values like 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's provide some values for the y. So y equals to, opening and closing of square brackets, let's provide some values like 13, 11, 4, 67, 50, and then 20. Any numbers you can provide. This is just the sample data. And now we are talking about grid. How to use grid? So for that, again we need to use this plt, which is alias for matplotlib.pyplot, and here we need to use function which is grid, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here we can provide different arguments. So let's provide one argument which is axis, and here let's give axis as x for now. Here we can provide x, y or both. That I will explain that what is the use of it. What is grid? So this is grid, right? With this ggplot we are automatically getting this grid section, but here we are trying to specifically provide the grid. And now after this also we can provide some more arguments. For now, let's provide this axis x only. We will be just seeing other options also, but first let's plot the graph. So we will plot one simple line chart only. For that, we need to use this plt.plot, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here we need to provide two arguments mainly, which are x-axis value then y-axis value. Now let's provide this plt.show so that our graph would be appearing. So plt show and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. Now let's click onto this execute cell, and see, we have got our graph, but here in this case we have provided this axis as x only, so we are able to see only horizontal grid like this. If we provide y here, so we would be getting vertical grids. Let's do that. So axis equals to y. Let's click onto this execute cell, and we have got vertical grids. And here one more option which we can provide is both. So let's use that. For now, for the both, I think there is some issue, so it is not showing the grid properly, but in this case we should be able to see horizontal grid line as well as vertical grid lines. Let's click onto this execute cell. For now it is not showing any grid line. This can be some minor bug, but you should be able to see horizontal grid line and vertical grid line. I think if we will provide some color, so in that case we would be able to see horizontal as well as vertical grid line. Let's try to do so. So to provide the color, we need to provide comma, and then color is the parameter name, equals to, and let's give this value as black or blue or green, anything you can give. Let's give green this time. Now let's click onto this execute cell, and see, we have got grid into the green color. I think without providing the color, it was not providing the proper grid. But now you can try to change the color and both the grids would be appearing. Horizontal grid, right? And then the vertical grids. So X and Y we can provide. So X will be showing horizontal, Y would be showing vertical grids, and both would be showing both, right? Horizontal and vertical grids. Similarly, we can also provide some more arguments to style this grid properly. Let's try to provide line width. So for that, put comma and then line width equals to, and let's provide it as the 2. You can try to increase the number, decrease the number, and see what is happening. It will change the line width. Let's click on to this execute cell and see this grid line width got changed. It got increased, right? We have changed it to 2. You can try to change it to 3, 4. Accordingly, it will get increased. You can try to decrease it also. Apart from that, we can also provide grid line style. So for that, we need to provide comma and then line style and then equals to, and here let's provide dotted. Now let's click on to execute cell and see we have got dotted grid lines. You can try to provide this double dash also. Let's click on to this execute cell and we have got this dashed grid lines. So any line style you can provide dashed, dotted, it's up to you, right? For now, let me provide dotted. Click on to execute and we are able to see this dotted grid line. And here for the plot also we can increase this line width so that it will look proper, because for the grids we have increased the line width. So for the plot, if we will increase, so graph will be looking properly, right? It is not compulsory, but it will show proper graph. So line width equals to 2 for the plot. Click on to execute cell and see its width also got increased. Now let's quickly provide title, x label, y label. Every time we should provide it so that by just looking at the graph, anyone should be able to visualize it. Let's provide this plt.title and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. Here provide says data with grid. Now let's provide x label, y label. So plt.x label, and as the string what we can pass, let's pass this week. And then plt.y label and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and then within the quotes let's provide sales. You can provide any title, x label, y label as per your requirement, as per your data. Now let's click on to this execute cell and now we should get title, x label, y label. Here we have got x label, y label, but with the title we are having some issue. I think with this theme we are having issue or what. Let me try to make it dark background, this one. Let's click on to this execute cell and here let's click on to this execute cell, and this time we have got title also. I'm not sure, I think with this ggplot theme there are some issue. Previously we were also not able to see the grid for this axis equals to both, but now we have got title, x label, y label, and accordingly you can try to change this grid style, graph color, width, line style, anything, right? And here under this styling and customization section, I would like to talk about one more concept, which is control figure size and resolution. And for that we are going to use one function which is figure. Let's see how to do that. So before using any of these plt function, what we can do, we can provide one function which is plt dot and then figure. And here we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis, and inside it we can provide different arguments. For now we will be passing one argument which is figure size. For that we need to provide figsize and then equals to, and its value would be a tuple, so opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here we need to provide two items. So first item would be width value of the figure, and then second item would be height value of the figure. Here let's provide 10 as the width, comma 5 as the height. About this fig size we have already seen under this subplot section, where we have provided this fig size for this subplots. So here also we were deciding overall width and height of the whole figure. Here we were using it with the subplots, and here we are trying to use it with this figure function. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see its width and height got changed because we have provided this plt.figure with this figure size. Here if we will make it 5, 5, so accordingly overall figure's width and height will get changed. Let's click on to this execute cell and see width got reduced. So accordingly you can try to change these values. For now let me provide it 10, 5 only. Let's click on to execute cell and see this graph is looking proper, but as per your requirement you can change these values. And here we have changed the figure size. Similarly we can also change the resolution. How to do that? So for that we can provide one more argument. For that the parameter name is dpi. So let's put comma and then dpi, and then we can provide its value. But what is this dpi? This dpi is dots per inches. So it is the resolution of the figure in dots per inches. This DPI is short form for dots per inches. And here we can provide some values. So let's provide 200 here. And now let's click onto this execute cell. And see its resolution got changed. It is appearing in more higher resolution. Similarly, let's try to change it to 50. Let's click onto this execute cell and see its resolution got changed. Let me keep it like 300. So in this case, its resolution will get improved. See, it is now appearing more properly with the proper resolution. So accordingly, you can try to change this DPI value and then this figsize value with this figure function. And here, whenever you are providing this higher DPI, which means it is having better quality and larger file size. If you want to reduce the file size, in that case, you can decrease the DPI size. And here, let's see one more example for these stylings and customization in one go, so that you would be able to implement all the things related to these stylings and customization for the single chart or the graph. For that, let me add one more new code cell. And here, let's first start with the overall theme. So here we can provide this plt.style.use. And let's use this dark underscore background only. That we have already said, but I want to show you in a single example. So that's why I'm providing it here. Let's provide it dark underscore background. Now let's put some data. So here we will create the variable name as x equals to, and here let's create NumPy array. So np.array, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and then opening and closing of square brackets. Let's provide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now let's create this y-axis data. So for that we need to provide y. Any variable name you can provide equals to np.array, and then round parenthesis, square brackets, and here let's provide some values like 10, 24, then 18, 37, then 27. Right, same number of items you need to provide for the x and y axis. Now let's try to provide figure. So we will provide this plt.figure, and here let's provide figsize equals to, then tuple, here let's provide it 8, 4, and then let's provide DPI equals to 100. This is just an example which I wanted to show you, so that you can try to apply each and every style we learned in the same example. Now let's plot the line chart. For that we can provide plt.plot. Within the parenthesis, let's provide x augment and the y augment. So x, which is this NumPy array, and then comma, y, which is this NumPy array. Any name you can provide, the same name you'll have to give here. And here let's provide some color. So comma, color equals to, let's give the color as pink or orange, let's give it. Then let's give line height. So comma, hit enter. In the same line also you can do so. And then line width equals to 2, comma, hit enter. Here let's provide marker equals to s, o, x, anything you can provide. And then let's provide marker size, so comma, enter, and then marker size equals to 10. Now let's provide title, x label, y label, and print details. So to provide title, we need to provide this plt.title, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. Here let's give title name as styled line chart. Okay, now let's add some font size, font weight. So font size equals to, let's give font size as 16, and let's provide font weight equals to, and here let's give it as bold, which will be a string. Right, so within the quotes, single quotes or double quotes, you need to provide this font weight value. Now let's provide x label, y label value. For that we need to provide this plt.x label, and here let's give x label as x-axis. Any value you can give, and here let's give this font size as 12 equals to 12. Similarly, let's give y label, so plt.y label, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's provide label as y-axis. So within any quotes, single quotes or double quotes, we can provide y-axis. And here also let's give this font size as 2 only. So comma, and then font size equals to 12. Now let's provide this grid details also. For that we need to provide this plt.grid, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here we can also provide visibility of the grid. So for that we can give this true. If you want, you can also provide that axis details which we saw while learning the grid. For now, I'm just marking it as the true. Then I'm putting this comma, and then let's give this line style equals to, and then within the quotes, let's provide this double dash. Here we can give alpha also. So let's give alpha equals to, and then 0.5, which will put a transparency for the grid. Right, for each and every function, I have not covered each and every argument. You can just mouse over onto the function. You can see what are different arguments it is providing. And if you want to get more details, so in that case, you can Google that particular function for the Matplotlib. You will be getting each and every argument details there, that what it does, how to use it. For now, I've covered important arguments for the specific functions. And now here, one more thing which we can do, here we can provide plt.title. So title_layout, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And at the end, do not forget to provide this plt.show. So plt.show, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And now let me just quickly check that I have not made any typo error. So here I found one typo error. It should be dark_background. And let me check other mistakes. Here I've given this font weight spelling wrong. It should be font weight. Right, once you will execute it with this wrong values or wrong parameter name or function name, you would be able to see the error. And now I think I've given these spellings correctly only. Let's click onto this execute cell and see we are able to see our graph where all these styles got applied. We have applied this dark background. We have provided the figure size, DPI. We have plotted it with different properties. We have given title, X label, Y label with the different font size and font weight. And then we have provided grid, where we have marked grid as true, where we wanted to see the grid with this hyphen, which is dashed. And here we have provided alpha to have some transparency. The value we have given as 0.5. Then we have given this title layout, and at the end we have shown that particular chart. So like this, you can try to apply different styles for the specific charts, right? It is not mandatory that you need to use each and every style, right? Just for your practice purpose, I have given this example where into the single example we have tried to provide different styles. So guys, so far we have worked mostly with the Python lists and NumPy arrays, but in real world projects, data usually comes from Pandas data frame, and that is where we will talk about our next section, which is Matplotlib plus Pandas. So we are going to talk about integration of Matplotlib with Pandas. In real projects, CSV files, Excel files, databases are usually loaded into Pandas data frames. Matplotlib integrates directly with Pandas. Now let's see the practical example. Let me copy this heading. Let's go to VS Code, and here let me add this heading. So for that I am adding this markdown and double hash and then this particular heading. Click onto the stick icon and we have this heading. Now let's click onto this code cell. And here to get the data, either we can create our own data frame that we have seen into our Pandas video, that how to do that, or we can directly use the CSV to get the data. Here I am going to get CSV to directly get the data, and that would be more realistic scenario, right? Usually you would be having CSV, Excel file, databases to get data. Usually you would not be creating data. So that's why I am directly taking data from the CSV. For that I will be taking one CSV. So this is the CSV. Here let me move this particular CSV into our folder. So I am moving it inside this Matplotlib folder, which is there inside this Python for AI engineering project. Here into the VS Code I am able to see this table like structure because I have installed this extension, which is this CSV from repreng. About this extension, about this CSV, about Pandas data frame, we have already discussed into our Pandas related video. If you have not watched my Pandas related video, I would highly recommend you to watch that video. I will provide link of that video into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access that video. For now, you can install this particular extension, and then you would be able to open this CSV into table-like structure. Otherwise, if you will open it directly, you would be able to see normal notepad file where all the values will be separated by comma. So either you install this particular extension and open CSV directly here, or you can open your CSV with the Excel. Let me do that also. So right click and open it with the Excel. And see, in the Excel also you would be able to see this table-like structure where you would be having rows and columns. And the same thing, if you will open into the notepad, you would be able to see comma separated value. Let me also show that to you. So right click and edit with notepad. And see, we are able to see comma separated value. Here you would not be able to get table-like structure. Either you can use Excel to open this particular CSV, or if you want to open it directly into the VS Code, so in that case you can install this particular extension and see this table-like structure. Otherwise, here also you would be able to see that notepad like structure where you would be able to see comma separated value. So it's totally up to you how you want to see it. Usually I want to see it into the VS Code so that easily I can navigate and see the data. So that's why I prefer this particular extension. It's totally up to you, right? It is not mandatory to install this extension, then only Pandas will work. It is not like that. Now let me close this and this extension also. So here we have our CSV file. And now during our Pandas tutorial, we have already seen that how to read the CSV file and how we will get data frame out of it. So whenever we are reading CSV file using Pandas, in that case we would be getting data frame as the output. So what is data frame? Data frame is kind of table like structure, right? There you would be having multiple rows. So for each column you would be having multiple data. For now let's read this particular CSV and let's get the data frame. So for that what we will require Pandas. If you have not installed Pandas till now, what you need to do? You need to install Pandas, and for that command is pip install Pandas. How to install Pandas, that I've already shown you into my Pandas related video. Again, I'm not showing you. You just go to the terminal and then type pip install Pandas to install Pandas. For now, it is already installed for me. For your reference, I'm just putting it as the command. So this is the command, which is pip install and Pandas. And same would be case for NumPy. If NumPy is not installed for you, you need to install it using pip install NumPy. And where you need to provide this command, you can simply go to this terminal, click on to new terminal and provide that command, which is pip install and then the package name. How to install different packages, that also I've discussed. So I'm not discussing these basic things again and again, right? Now let's move further. Let's read the CSV, which is students.csv, which we have put inside this Matplotlib folder where our notebook file is also there. So to read the data from the CSV, what we need to do? First, we need to import Pandas. So for that, what we need to do? We need to use this import Pandas as PD. So we are importing Pandas and here we are using this alias, which is PD. So for that, we need to provide as PD. And now let me click onto this execute cell. And now our Pandas is imported. If you want, you can keep this import statement at the top with our other import statement inside this notebook. So that's totally up to you. For now, I'm using it at very later stage. So that's why I'm keeping this import statement here only. Now our Pandas is imported. Now let's try to read the CSV. So for that, what we need to do? We need to use this pd dot read underscore CSV. About this method also we have already discussed into our Pandas related tutorial. So read underscore CSV, and here we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis. And for this read CSV function, we need to pass one argument. And what is the argument? So argument would be the file name. So for now, our file is directly here inside the same folder where our notebook file is there. So we need not to provide any path. We just need to provide file name dot extension, which is CSV. So let's provide that. So within single quotes or double quotes, we need to provide students.csv. And now with this, we would be able to read data from this particular CSV file. We can save it inside one variable, and the variable name I will give as df, which is short for data frame. You can give any name like student data frame or student df. That's totally up to you. So now we have got our data frame out of this read underscore CSV. So why I'm saying it data frame? So if you will mouse over onto this particular function, and here if you will scroll down, so here you would be able to see this particular function is returning data frame. What is data frame? That we have already seen, but let me print value of this df so that you would be able to visualize it, that how we are reading data from the CSV with the help of Pandas. Now let me click onto this execute cell and see we have got our data, which is coming from the CSV. Here if you will have a look, you would be able to see it is very similar structure, right? We are getting these columns name, and then we are getting different rows with different set of data. So here also we are getting the same thing. Now we have got our data frame, and that is where we have used Pandas. Now we want to plot something, right? We want to plot the graph. So how to do that? So let me show that to you. And for that I will use one more code cell so that we can see this particular data here, right? I have executed it and it is showing data because of this df. Now let's add one more code cell, and it is not necessary to add new code cell. You can write your further code here only, but I want to see this table also. That's why I'm putting further code into next code cell. So now how to plot the graph? So for that we can directly use this Pandas data frame. So this df we have already created. On top of that we have one method which is plot. Let's see how to use that. So we will be using this df which is containing this particular CSV data, right? And this Pandas we have already imported. Here only if you want to write the code, that's totally up to you. Just to see this table, and here only we would be able to see that what is happening. That's why I'm keeping this table here. Now put df here, and after that we need to use this plot. So dot plot, and after that we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis. And now we need to provide different options here so that we can plot the graph or chart. So for that we will be using some data. So from here let's use this student ID and marks. So we would be plotting one bar chart where we would be putting this student ID at the x-axis and then these marks at the y-axis. Or we can also take names at the x-axis and marks at the y-axis. Let's do that so that we would be able to see each and every name at the x-axis. So for that what we need to do here with this plot, we need to provide value of x. And how to provide that? So for that we need to provide x equals to, and here we need to provide the column name. So our column name is this name. And we need to provide this value as the string. So within single quotes or double quotes, we can provide column name. As here we are directly using this data frame dot plot. So automatically on the basis of this column name, it will be able to get this particular data. Now we need to provide value for the y-axis. So let's put comma and then y equals to, and here let's provide marks. So within single quotes and double quotes, we need to provide the column name, which is this marks. If you want, you can copy paste just to avoid any typo error. Now we have provided x-axis values, y-axis values, and now we need to provide that what kind of graph or chart we want to plot. And for that we need to provide one more value. So put comma here, and here we need to provide kind equals to, and here we can provide any kind. So here we can provide line, bar, histogram, any type, right? How to provide that? So within the quotes we need to provide the value. So see here we are getting all the options. Like if we want to plot the line chart, we want to plot the bar chart, bar chart, histogram chart, pie chart, and other options are also there. So according to your data, you can provide kind of graph which you want to plot. For now, we want to plot the bar chart. So here I will provide bar. And with this, we would be able to plot our bar chart. Here, let me provide this plt.show. So this plt is alias of matplotlib.pyplot. Here let's provide this show and then opening and closing of round parentheses so that we would be able to see our graph properly. Now let's click on to this execute cell. And see, we have got our bar chart. Where at the x-axis we are able to see all the names because we have provided this x equals to name. Where we are having these all the names inside this data frame. And then at the y-axis we are having marks. So from 0 to 100 we would be having marks. So here it has provided those values. And then you would be able to see that for which student how many marks you have got. Let's say for this Rahul Verma we have got around more than 40. Let me check that. So this is Rahul Verma and for that marks are 45, right? And accordingly you can check it for Ali Khan. So marks are around 85 or 90, right? So it is 95, right? So marks are appearing as 95 into the graph also. And here it is automatically showing legend, which is marks. And here we can also provide title. So for that we can put comma here and then title equals to, and here we can put the title like marks chart, or we can give student and marks, but whatever the title name you want to provide, that you can provide. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see we are able to see title also. And here let's provide this plt.title layout so that we would be able to see proper layout for this chart. So here let's give this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot and then title layout. So title underscore layout and then opening and closing of round parentheses. Now let's click on to execute cell and you would be able to see proper layout here. And see we have got proper layout where we are able to see all the names, scores, legend, title, and here at the X we are able to see this name also, right, which is X label. So we are able to get this particular graph by integrating Matplotlib with Pandas. And here you can try different options, right? You can try different data. You can create your own CSV as per your requirement. You can try to change this kind for the graph. Here, as I told, there are different type of graphs which you can plot about line, bar, bar edge, histogram, pie chart, scatter chart. We have already talked into this tutorial and you should be able to use them. So as an assignment, you try to use different data and try to plot different kind of chart or graph. Usually common kinds are line, bar, bar edge, histogram, scatter, pie that we have already discussed, and you should be able to use them. You should have an idea what kind of data you can use here, and then you can try to plot the chart. And now let's see one more example here only for the integration of Matplotlib with Pandas, where we are going to use value underscore counts. Let's see the example so that you will be having a better idea that how you can use that and what kind of graph you would be able to plot. So for that, let me scroll down and let me add one more new code cell. And here we would be using the same data frame where we are reading data from the CSV. We have already executed it, so we need not to import it and again read the CSV. Here we would be able to directly use this df, which is our data frame where we have got data. So here let's take an example that we want to see that from which city how many students are there. So how you can do that? Here we have this city column, and here you would be able to see that different students are from different cities, right? If you will see, let's say from the Mumbai there are many students, right? From the Bangalore there are many students. From the Pune, from the Delhi there are many students. So we want to see that only, that from which city how many students are there. So here it is not like that each student from different city. There are many students who are from Delhi, there are many students who are from Mumbai. So that's what we are going to see, right? So we should be able to see it or visualize it with the help of chart. Let's see how to do that. So here we would be using this data frame only. So df, and here we want to read the city column, which is this one. If you want, you can copy this column name. How to read it? So here within the square brackets, we need to provide this column name, which is city. This is Pandas concept. And here what we want to do, we want to calculate that which city is repeating how many times, or we want to get number of counts for each city. So for that we are going to use value underscore count. So here what we need to do, we need to provide dot and then value underscore counts. So value underscore and then counts. And here we need to provide opening and closing of round parenthesis. So this value underscore count is a method which is going to give us series of numbers. Let's see what it is giving so that you would be able to get a better idea. With the Pandas tutorial, we have already seen it, that what this value underscore counts provides. Here let's save it inside one variable. Let's give the variable name as city underscore counts. You can give any variable name and then equals to. And now let's see the output for this city underscore counts. Let's provide it here. Let's click onto this execute cell. And see, we are getting one series where we have got 5, 4, 3, 3, 3, 2. And here what we are getting city names, which are index, right? It is just the Pandas concept that we have already discussed. It is very basic. So we are getting one series where index names are these city name. So this Mumbai is there 5 times. Delhi is there 4 times. Bangalore is there 3 times because there are 5 students who are there from the Mumbai. 4 students from the Delhi. 3 students from Bangalore, Pune and Chennai, and from the Hyderabad we are having 2 students. That you can verify into this particular table also. And now we have got the city counts and we have also got the city name as the index. Now let's use it and let's plot a chart. So for that we are going to use this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pandas. So plt dot and which kind of chart or graph we want to plot, so that you can give here. Here for now bar chart would be suitable. So I am providing bar here and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here we need to provide the x-axis value. See, x value. So what would be the x value? Here at the x-axis we want to mention city names. So for that what we can do, we can use this city underscore counts dot and here we can provide index. So this particular series have index name, which are these city names. And after that put comma. And then at the y-axis what we want to provide? We want to provide this particular count, that how many students are from which city. So for that again we would be using the city underscore counts and then we need to give this dot and then values. That's it. With this we would be able to plot our bar chart. Here we can also provide color, edge color, right? Some styles also we can provide. Let's do that quickly. Let's give comma, hit enter, and here let's give color equals to, and let's give the color as red. Then again let's put comma, hit enter, and let's give this edge color. And here I will give this edge color as black. Now let's provide this plt.show to show the graph. After that we would be adding title, x label, y label. For now let me show you the graph. And now let's click onto this execute cell. And see, we have got our bar chart where we are able to see the city names at the x-axis and number of counts at the y-axis. So from the Mumbai we have got 5 students. From the Delhi we have got 4 students. And like this we can visualize our data. And here let's provide title, x label, y label. We can also provide that tight layout so that we would be able to see proper structured detailed chart. Let's do that quickly. Here let's provide plt.title and then within opening and closing of round parenthesis we need to provide the title as the string. So let's give the title as student count by city. Next we need to provide this plt.xlabel and here let's provide city at the x-axis, right? So this label would be appearing here. And now next we can provide the y label. So plt.ylabel and opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here let's provide number of students. And here let's also add this plt.tight layout. so that we would be able to see proper layout. plt.title layout. Opening and closing of round parenthesis. And now let's click on to this execute cell. And see, we are able to get this title, X label, Y label here for this particular bar chart. Like this, you can try to use different data. So here you can try to plot one more bar chart where you would be using these courses. So let's say we want to visualize that for which courses, how many students took admission. So here we would be able to see that for the Python, 5 or 6, 7 students took the admission. For the data science, 4 students took admission. So accordingly, you can visualize that particular data. So as an assignment, try to plot it using the course. So in such cases, what we just use this value underscore counts, which counts how many times each category appears. And here in this case, dot index gave us the category name and dot values gave us number of count. And this pattern is used constantly in real analytics projects. And now let's talk about next section, which is bonus section. Here first we are going to talk about this xlim and ylim. So what is this? So by default, Matplotlib automatically decides graph limits. But sometimes we want to manually control how much x-axis is visible, how much y-axis is visible. And that's where we use this xlim and ylim. Let's see the basic practical example so that you have an idea if you want to use it. Let me copy this particular heading. Let's go to VS Code. Here let me add one more markdown so that we would be able to see the heading. And let's provide double hash space and then this particular heading. Let's click onto this tick. And now let's add one more new code cell. Click onto this code. And here let's create some data first. So here I will give the variable name as x equals to and then opening and closing of square brackets. And let's provide some numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then 6. Any data you can put. For now I'm just putting very basic data so that you would be able to easily understand concept of xlim and ylim. Those are functions, right? Now let's provide value for the y-axis. So y equals to, and let's give some numbers here like 10, 20, 15, 30, 25 and then 40. So here we have created list of same length. And now here let's plot a basic line chart. For that, what we need to do, we need to provide this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot dot, and then let's use this plot function and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And with this plot function, we can pass the argument where we need to pass the x-axis value and y-axis value. About this plot function, we have already seen in much detail. For now, let's directly use it. So let's provide this x, which is containing this particular list, and then we need to provide comma and then y and then y. If you want, you can add more style, more details. That I'm leaving on you. Now let's click on to execute cell and see what we are getting. And now let's provide this plt.show and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's click on to this execute cell and see what we are getting. So see, we have got the line chart where at the x-axis we are having these values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and at the y-axis we are having these values. You can try provide color, line style, that's totally up to you. For now, I just want to focus on to the concept of xlim and ylim. So here, let's say we want to see part of the chart where we want to see between this 2 to 5 and between this 10 to 35 and not above that. So how to do that? So that's where we are going to use this xlim and ylim. Let's see how to use that. So after this plot, what we need to do, we need to provide this plt dot and then function name, which is xlim, and opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here we need to provide the left right value. So at the left we want to provide this 2 and at the right we want to provide this 5. So comma 5. So now we should be able to see this section of the graph. Let's see how it is looking. Let me click onto this execute cell and see our x-axis values are starting from the 2 and ending on the 5. So between 2 to 5 what we are having? At the 2 we have 20, at the 3 we have 15, then at the 4 we have 30 and at the 5 we have 25. So for the x-axis values we are able to see related y-axis values also. Now let's try to use ylim function. For now let me comment this out. Let's click onto this execute cell so that it would be showing me the full chart. And here let's use ylim. So plt dot ylim and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here let's provide 10 as the bottom value, comma, and then we need to provide the top value, which is 35. Any value you can provide. Here I just want to zoom in between this particular section from 10 to 35. I don't want to see values which are above them. Now let's click on to this execute cell. So see, at the y-axis we are able to see value from the 10 to 35, and accordingly we are seeing this particular line chart. So for the one, the value is 10, so our graph is starting from here only, and then it is showing different data points as per different values. And for the 6, we are not seeing any value because we have provided this top limit as 35 only. So this works like zooming into a graph. And here we can also uncomment this, where we are providing xlim and ylim. So with the xlim, we should be able to see values from 2 to 5, and with this ylim, we should be able to see values from 10 to 35. Let's click onto this execute cell and see we are able to get values at the x-axis between 2 to 5 and at the y-axis between 10 to 35 only. Here let's try to change some data. Let's try to change this 35, which is for this 4, to 40, and let's see how our graph is looking. Let's click onto this execute cell and see this particular portion is getting cut because at the y-axis we have limited between the 10 to 35. So for this x value 4, the y value was 40 and it is going out of the graph, so that's why it is not appearing here. So like this, you can try to change the value, you can try to put different data, you can try to put different limit for this xlim and ylim. For the xlim, you need to provide left and right value because it is for the x-axis, and for the ylim, you need to provide bottom and top values. You can play with it, practice it, and you would be able to get it properly. For now, let me roll it back to the 30 and let's click onto this. And this works like zooming into a graph. And now here, let's see the next concept under this bonus section, which is axhline and axvline. So sometimes if you want to highlight a target value, danger zone, average line, important event, and that's where horizontal and vertical reference lines help. Let's see the practical example. Let's go to VS Code, and here let's add one more new code cell, and here let's create some sample data. We will just create a sample data for sales performance. So let's provide this column name as days equals to, and then opening and closing of square brackets, and here let's provide this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? For the 5 days we will put some sales data. So let's create one more variable which is sales equals to, and here let's provide one list, and here let's put 20, 35, 30, 50 and 45, right? For the 5 days we have 5 sales data. Now here let's use this to plot a line chart. For that, what we need to do, we need to use this plt.plot, and then we need to provide x value and y value. So x value will be this days, comma, y value would be this sales values, right? So let's provide it here. If you want, you can copy paste it. And now let's put one marker also so that we would be able to see data points, right? So marker equals to, and here I am giving marker value as O. So within the quotes, we need to provide O. And let's give this plt.show, and then opening and closing of from parenthesis so that it would be showing us the specific chart. Now let's click onto this execute cell and see we have got our chart where we are having this days values and then this sales values. Now here let's say we have an example that we want to show that our sales target is 40. So that is where we would be using axhline, which will be plotting a horizontal reference line. Let's see that how to use that. So for that we need to provide this plt dot, and then we need to give this axhline, right? Axhline, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis, and here we need to provide this y value because we want to plot a horizontal value at the specific point at the y-axis, right? So let's say we want to plot a reference line at this particular point where y value is 40. So what we can do, we can provide y here and then equals to 40. And here let's provide some style. So let's give color equals to red. It is color. And then let's give line style and label also. So line style equals to, and within the quotes let's provide these double dashes. And let's give label also. So label equals to, and here let's give the label as target. And now let's click onto this execute cell and see we have got a horizontal line at the y value which is 40, and here the color is red, line style is this dashed, and label is target. Why we are not able to see the label? That we have already seen, right? If we want to see the label, in that case we need to use this plt.legend. So plt.legend, and then opening and closing of front parenthesis. Again let's click onto this execute cell And see, we are getting this legend. So for this red dash line, we are able to see this label, which is target. And now similarly, we can also use that xvline, which is going to give us a vertical reference line. Let's see how to do that. So again, for that, we would be using this plt. So after plotting, we are providing this xhline and xvline. Let's give this plt dot xvline and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here this time we will have to provide the x value because we want to plot a vertical line at the specific x value. So let's say we want to plot a vertical line at this x value 3. So what we will do, we will provide this x equals to 3 here, and here let's provide color. So color equals to blue, and let's provide one more argument, which is Linestyle equals to, and then within the quotes let's provide this colon. Now let's click onto this execute cell and see, we are able to see these dotted line. If you want, you can provide dotted dashed here, right? So at this specific x value, we are getting this vertical dotted line because we are providing this xv line, which is giving us vertical reference line. So it totally depends, right? If you just need the horizontal line, so in that case you can use this xh line. There you can provide label, other details, right? Styles also. And similarly, if you have the requirement where you need to plot the specific vertical lines, so in that case you can use this xv line. And now here let's provide this title also, so that anyone would be able to visualize the data by looking at this particular chart only. So here we need to provide this plt.title, and here we will provide title as CS performance. That's it. Click onto this execute cell and we have got proper chart where we would be able to visualize the data. Let me open this chart separately and see here, by looking at it, what you are able to visualize, you are getting a sales performance where you are showing days here. If you want, you can add X label, Y label, right? That I have not added here. That would be more proper, right? So by looking at it, you would be able to see that here we are providing sales and this is the target which has met after this third day. Let me close it for now. And now let's see the next bonus concept here, which is annotate. So sometimes we want to add text labels directly on a graph to highlight important points. And that's where plt.annotate helps. Let's see the practical example. Let's go to VS Code. Let's add one more code cell. And here let's create some data. So let's provide x equals to, and then here I will create one list. And here we will provide 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And let's provide y-axis value. So for that y equals to, and then within the square brackets, let's provide 10, 15, 40. Any numbers you can provide, 20, and then 30. And now let's plot the graph. So for that we need to use this plt.plot, opening and closing of round parenthesis, and let's provide x and y value. So x is containing list of x values and then y is containing list of y values. And here let's give a marker. So comma marker equals to, and let's provide marker as O only. Here let's add one title also. So plt.title equals to, and here I will give title as annotate chart. And let's give this plt.show, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. Let me click onto this execute cell, and we have got our line chart with this title annotate chart. And now we want to use this plt.annotate. So where we can use it? So let's say we want to highlight that which is the highest point into the chart. So which is the highest point? So for this x value 3, we have this highest value which is 40. So now we want to highlight it. So how to do that? So for that, after plotting the chart, we would be using this plt.annotate. And here we need to provide some arguments. So what we are annotating? So here first we will provide that detail. So we need to provide text as the string, where we want to annotate highest point. So let's give this highest point. Any text you can give, that would be appearing when we will be annotating it. Once we will see the graph, things will be more clear to you. So let's provide highest point here. And now we need to provide the point that which is the highest point. So for that, what we will have to do? We will have to provide exact x and y location. So x value is 3 and y value is 40. So let's provide that. So let's provide comma, and here we need to provide the parameter name, which is xy equals to, and here we need to pass its value as the tuple. The x value would be the first value, which is 3, and y value is the second value, which is 40. And now let's click on to this execute cell. And see, we are getting this highest point where this text is appearing, highest point at this location, which is at x value as 3 and y value as 40. But here we can make it more proper, right? It is not looking good that at some point this highest point is appearing. So first thing which we want to do, we want to move this highest point little away from this particular dot. So for that, what we can provide xy text and then its location. So let's give this comma, and the parameter name is this xy text equals to, and its value will be a tuple where we need to provide the numbers. So where we want to show this highest point. So we want to show this highest point text little away from this particular dot. So let's give x value as 3.5 and let's give y value as 35. So it would be appearing little here, right? At 3.5 and then 35. Let's click on to this execute cell and see highest point is appearing here. Now here what we can do, we can add some arrow so that it would be pointing to this particular point. And how to do that? So in that case, we can provide one more argument, which is arrow props. Let's provide it. So let's provide comma, and here let's provide arrow props equals to, and now its value will be a dictionary. So in that case, you can either use that opening and closing of curly braces to create a dictionary, or you can use this dict to create a dictionary. I will show you both the ways. So here let's first use these curly braces. So let's give this opening and closing of curly braces, and here we need to provide key value pair. Key value will be face color and its value will be any color which you want to provide. So let's provide key value as face color. So within the quotes we need to provide face color, and then after this face color we need to provide colon, and then its value which will be a string, which will be a color. So let's give it as black. And now let's click on to this execute cell and see it is creating one arrow which is of black color, which is getting pointed to this particular point which is at 3,40. And where is our text? Our text is there at 3.5 and 35. So automatically it has created an arrow which is pointing to this point from this highest point text. Here you can try to change this. Let's change it to 39 at the y. So this highest point would be appearing somewhere here. Let's click on to this execute cell and see automatically this arrow also got moved with this highest point text location. So accordingly you can try to provide the data. And here as I told you that this arrow props you can provide as the dictionary, and here you can either use this opening and closing of curly braces or you can use dict. So let's see that. Let me copy this whole line. Let's comment out this line now and hit enter. Let's paste this line, and here on place of this opening and closing of curly braces for this arrow props I will use dict. So what we need to provide, we need to provide this dict, which is short form for dictionary, and then opening and closing of round parenthesis. And here what we need to provide, we need to provide the key value which is face color, and then equals to, and here we need to provide its value as the string. So opening and closing of single quotes or double quotes, and here let's provide color as black. That's it. And here you would not be able to see any change onto the graph, but it's totally up to you what way you want to provide. Usually I prefer this opening and closing of curly braces to create a dictionary, but if you want to use this dictionary constructor which is dict, so that you can do. Now let's click on to this execute cell and see there is no change into this visualization. Only thing is that we have provided this arrow props through the different ways. Either you can use this opening and closing of curly braces with the key value pair, or this dict with the key value, right? Here we need to use equals to, and here it's totally up to you which arrow color you want to give. Let's give red here. Let's click on to execute cell. We have got red arrow. Let's keep it green because this is the highest point which we want to highlight as the highest one, right? So it should not be alert color like red, right? So let's give this green. It's totally up to you. I'm just giving you options, right? So we are getting this highest point in the green. And as an assignment, you can also try to annotate lowest point into this graph. You can show it with a red color. Try to do that and post your solution into the comment section below. And guys, if you're finding this playlist helpful, let me know into the comment section below. And feel free to share your suggestions. I would love to hear your thoughts. And now I will conclude this video here, but before we wrap up, let me give you a quick recap. So here we saw that we are going to use Matplotlib, and Matplotlib is a Python library used for data visualization. And after that, we saw that we can plot different kind of charts, graphs using Matplotlib. And to use the Matplotlib, we need to install it by using the command pip install matplotlib. You can also use virtual environment requirement file. That's totally up to you. For now, just to keep the thing simple, I've shown the simplest way. to install the Matplotlib. How to use the virtual environment, for that I've created a separate video. If you want to watch it, you can go to my AI Engineering or Python course playlist and watch that particular video. And after installing, we saw that how to import Matplotlib and how to use it. Let's go to VS Code, and there we would be able to see all the concepts one by one which we saw during this particular tutorial. So here, let's go to VS Code, let's go to top, and here we saw that how to import Matplotlib. Right here we need to provide this matplotlib.pyplot, and here we can use this alias which is plt, which is widely used, so that we will not have to use this long name every time. Then we saw that we can create x and y values using the Python list or the NumPy array. Here we have also imported this NumPy because in between we have also used NumPy array. Here to draw a simple line chart, we can use this plt.plot, where we can provide x and y values, and we should be able to see this particular line chart. We can use the savefig to save the png, and here for the each chart, plot or graph, we need to use this plt.show so that we would be able to see a proper graph. Otherwise it would be showing some text also before the graph. And then we started with the different charts. First we saw about line chart, where we can provide the data either by using the Python list or by using NumPy array. And then we have used this plt, which is alias of matplotlib.pyplot, and here we need to use plot function to draw a line chart, where we need to provide x value, y value. Here we can provide color, line style, line width, marker, marker size, marker face color, and its edge color. It's totally up to you which style you want to provide. It is not like that you will have to provide each and every style or each and every argument. This x and y is mandatory. Apart from that, providing these arguments are optional. After that, we saw that we can also provide title, where we can add more styles like this. Similarly, we can provide x label and y label, and then we can show the plot. Here for the title, x label and y label, we can provide font size, font weight, family, color, and many more properties. And we would be able to see our line chart like this with the title, x label, y label, marker, line style, line width, right? Everything which we have provided here, we would be able to visualize it directly. After that, we saw that if we are plotting multiple graphs inside the same chart, so in that case, we'll have to provide some set of same style for those graphs, right? Or for those lines. So in that case, what we can do, we can directly create one dictionary where we can provide all the key value pairs which we want to provide commonly for different graphs, right? So here we have used this marker, marker size, face color, edge color, line style, line width. So either you can use this curly braces or you can use that dict that we have just seen, right? How to use that dict. Here also you can try to use this. And here whenever you want to provide this common style, so in that case what you can do within your graph function, which is plot, here we can provide this double star and then this particular dictionary name, and that's it. For all the graphs, this particular common style will get applied. Apart from that, if you want to provide any other argument that you can provide, like here we have provided color, label, and here we would be able to see proper chart like this with different plots. Here we also saw that we can add x text, so that proper x text which we are providing, here we have provided it as years, which is this one, so only those x text would be appearing. Here we can also provide text param, where we can provide axes as both, and then we can add the color so that these parameters will get applied for both the text. And here we have used this legend because we have used labels so that we can see proper legend here. At the end you need to provide show every time, right? After that, we saw the bar chart where we created the data, and for plotting bar chart, what we need to use? We need to use this plt.bar, where we need to provide the x-axis value, y-axis values, and then we can provide different arguments like color, edge color, width, and here we provided title, x label, y label. And like this, you can try to provide different data and try to plot different chart. Here we wanted to provide bar color differently for each and every bar, so in that case we have provided list here. If you want to provide the same color, so just provide this color as the string. And then we saw, apart from this vertical chart, we can also get the horizontal bar chart. In that case, rather than using bar, we need to use this bar h, and other things will be exactly similar, so that it would be plotting horizontal bar chart where these x values would be appearing at the y-axis, and these y values which are related to cells will be appearing at the x-axis. And accordingly, you will have to change this x label, right? Because previously x label was product, but now this time x label is unit sold and y-axis is product. So keep that in mind. After that, we saw that we can also plot the scatter plots, which will show us the comparison, right? For that, we need to use this scatter, where we need to provide the x value, y value, which are height and weight in this case, and then we can provide this color, S is for the size, alpha is for the transparency, and then we can provide title, x label, y label, and show the graph and we should be able to see this proper graph like this. And similarly, we can also use the same chart to provide two different scatter plots. So in that case, what you'll have to do, you'll have to provide this plt.scatter for different data. So here we have used this particular set of data to plot one scatter plot, where we have given color as red. We have also added this label so that we would be able to identify based on the color, right, which scatter plot is for which label or which class in this case. Here we were taking example of hours versus score. Similarly, we have plotted one more scatter plot, and then we have given title, x label, y label, legend to show this legend. And once we give this plt.show and click onto this execute cell, we are able to see this proper chart with scatter plots. Here we have provided transparency, so that's why we are able to see it like this, right? Here it is getting overlapped, but we are able to see both the dots properly. Here with the scatter plot, we have also seen that we can also provide the color map. For that, we will have to provide this C and its value, that on which value basis these colors should get changed. Here we can provide its type, it is kind of theme, right? And then here we can provide this color bar so that this bar will also be appearing, where we have given label as the weight. So this weight is appearing here, and how it is taking these values? So it is taking these values because of this C. So here we have provided this C as the weight. So these values are appearing like 50, 55. So for this 50, the color is dark purple. For the 70, it is little greenish, right? For the 85, it is yellow. So like this, you can try to use it with the different values. And as I told you, if you're not aware about any of the value regarding any of the argument or any of the method, so in that case, you can simply Google it. You will be getting different values related to it. Like here for the C map, we have provided viridis. Apart from that, you can also provide plasma, magma, right? So that you can search into the Google, there can be different values which you can provide. You need not to remember each and everything, right? You should be aware about the concept that you can use it like this, and then you can get the values directly from the internet. Now let's scroll down, and then we saw the histogram where we have provided this NumPy array, and here we would be able to see values like this. For that, we need to provide this HIST method, which is short form for histogram, where we need to just provide x value, which is this one. And here we have provided other arguments also. Let's say we have provided this bins, that how many blocks we want to see. We have provided color, h color, title, x label, y label, and show. And here we also saw that we can also plot this histogram with some random data, where we have used this np, which is alias of NumPy, then dot random, and then this normal, which draws a random sample from the normal Gaussian distribution, where we need to provide the average value or mean value. So LOC equals to 75. Scale is 10. Scale is 10 mean we can see little variation between plus and minus. So average value is 75. So we can see variation till 65 and 85. And then we have provided the size, that how many numbers we want to generate. We have clipped it that it should not go below the 0 and above 100, right? So this score we have clipped between 0 to 100 only. Then we have used this hist, where we have provided this score 1 value after clipping it, bins, color, h color, title, x label, y label, and then we have shown the graph. So all these things, title, x label, y label, and all the details are appearing here. But I'm not again going into the theory that I've already explained you, that I've also put into the document. That document you can directly check. For now, I just want to give you a quick recap so that you would be able to recollect the things. Then we saw this pie chart, where we can provide categories, and then we can provide different amounts or different numbers related to those categories. Like here we wanted to visualize the monthly budget split. So that's why we have provided categories, amount, right? For the rent, we have this 40% budget. For the food, we have 25. And then we have used this plt.py, where we have provided this amount, and then we need not to provide any y value. Here we just need to add the label as this categories. So we should be able to see this pie chart with these labels, and the amount would be appearing here inside the pie chart. Apart from that, we can also provide other options or arguments like colors, where we have provided color for each section by using this particular list. Similarly, we can also provide explore. So again, there also we will have to use this list, and each list which we are creating should have same length, right? For each index, we should have one item. With the explode, we were able to explode or highlight the specific section. Then we have provided the shadow so that it will show little bit of shadow, like here you can visualize it. Then we can add the title, and then we can show the graph. After that, we have also seen concept of subplot, which means we would be having an entire figure, and inside that we can have many subplots. We can have subplot of type 1D, where we would be having one row and multiple columns. And how to do that? So here we have just created some sample data using NumPy. And to get the subplot, what we need to do, we need to use this plt.subplots, and here we need to provide rows and commas value. So here we wanted one row but two columns, so we have provided two here. We can also control the fig size, which will be increasing or decreasing overall figure size, right, based on your values. And out of this subplots, we get this fig and axis. For now, we have used this axis. So this axis 0 will give us first subplot. This axis 1 will be giving us second subplot. This is one dimensional subplot which we have created, so we need not to provide x and y value. X value is already determined, right? There is only one row, so we need not to provide it. We need to provide index value for the column. So this 0 means first column, which is first subplot. And here, by using this axis and then within the brackets by providing the index number, we can use any of the matplot function like plot, bar, hist, py. So it's totally up to you which kind of chart you want to see. And then we have provided x value, y value, and then this color marker, just basic things for the line graph, right? To set the title, we need to provide this set underscore title. Similarly, you can also set the x label and y label by using set x label and set y label. Here we have provided this plt.title underscore layout so that things will not get overlapped. And see, here we are able to get this one main figure, and here we are having multiple subplots. In this case, we are having two subplots within one row. We have tried to change this fig size value. We have also tried to change this column value here. So if you want to see 3 or 4 plots, so that you can do, right? Similarly, we have seen the 2D subplot. So in that case, what you need to do, you just need to provide row and comma value. You can increase it to 2, 2 or 2, 3 or 2, 2, that whatever you want, right? It is kind of grid-like structure. Here we are going to get 4 subplots. Every time we get this figure and axis, right, from this subplots, here you can give any name. You'll have to use the same name. So here we have used this axis, and then we need to provide x and y value. So here we wanted to get the first corner plot, which is at 0th row and 0th column, means first row and first column, right? These are index number which we need to provide, and then we can use any of the graph function like plot, bar, hist, py, and here we can provide x value, y value. If you want to provide any color, here we have seen that we can provide the title by giving set underscore title. Here we cannot directly use title, x label, y label. We need to use this set underscore title, set underscore x label, and set underscore y label. And like this, we can plot each and every subplot. Here we are plotting this 0th row first column. Then we have seen this first row 0th column and first row first column. If you will not plot any of the subplots, in that case it will be appearing blank. Here we have provided this title underscore layout so that things will not get overlapped. And like this, we are able to see this one main figure, and inside that we are having 4 different subplots. Here this theme is appearing a little different because after that we have seen this styling and customization section where we have provided this plt.style.use, and here we can provide different kind of theme which we want to apply onto each and every graph. So here you can use this plt.style.available to see that what kind of themes or styles which are available, and then you can directly apply it using this use. And under this styling and customization section, we have also seen other things. So here we saw that we can control the figure size by using this figure function, where we can provide the fig size, which will control this particular width and height. Apart from that, we can provide this dpi, which gives the resolution of the figure in dots per inches. Then we also saw that we can create grid-like structure for our graphs. For that, we will have to use this grid function, where we can provide axis. It can be x, y, or both. We can set the color, line width, line style for the grid. Here we have plotted the graph, and here we are able to see proper grids with given figure size. And then we have added title, x label, y label that we can add anywhere. And then we have shown the graph. And then let's scroll down. And here we have seen one example where we have used different kind of styles to plot a proper style graph. So here we have used this figure size to give the figure size with the DPI resolution. Then we have plotted the graph with the color, line width, marker size, and other arguments you can also use. Then we have used this title, x label, y label, where we have provided the font size, font weight. And here we have also added the grid, where we have provided grid true, which means we want to show the grid. And after that, for the grid, we have added the line style that it should be dashed, and alpha also you can provide so that there would be little transparency for the grid. Here we can provide tight layout for any of the plot so that things will not get overlapped. Will be more useful when you are plotting different subplots. Now let's scroll down, and after that we saw one important concept where we saw the integration between Matplotlib and Pandas. For that we have used this students.csv. So using the NumPy we can import this student.csv as the data frame. For that we need to use this Pandas. So we have imported Pandas. If you want to install Pandas, you can give this pip install Pandas. If you want to install NumPy, you can give pip install NumPy, right? That's so tip to you, it is very basic. And then we need to use this pd.read to read the specific CSV file, right? And then we have got this data frame which looks like this, which is similar to our CSV file, right? And as I told you, if you want to see such kind of CSV structure into the VS Code, so in that case you can use that CSV extension which we have installed previously during our Pandas tutorial. So this is the extension which you can use. And after that we have used the data from this particular data frame to plot the charts. So here onto this df which we have got, we can use this plot function, right, where we can provide x value, y value. Here we have provided x as the name, y as the marks, that for each student how many marks which they have got. And here we can provide kind, so we can provide different kind of charts which we can draw, like line, bar, hist, pie. So all the important things we have already seen. Then we can provide the title. We can use this tight layout show, and we would be getting proper layout like this. But here main important thing is that we are able to integrate Matplotlib with the Pandas. And here if you will notice, we are not using plt.plot, we are using this data frame.plot. So onto this data frame we are using plot, and then we are providing different arguments. So onto this Pandas data we are using this plot function, right? And we are not using that Matplotlib plot function, right? Similarly, we also saw that we can use value counts from the Pandas to visualize the data. Here what example we saw, we wanted to check that from which city how many students are there. So for that what we have done, we have used this df and then the column name dot value underscore counts, which will give us counts for each city. And then here what we have used this plt, which is Matplotlib.pyplot alias, and here we can provide any of the graphs which we have already seen, like bar, hist, pie, whatever the graph which you want to plot. In this case there is a bar chart which is more appropriate, where we can provide the x-axis value, y-axis value. What are x-axis value? So from this value underscore counts we have got this variable, right? So here if you will print these values, so you would be able to see it is providing us a series which is having numbers like number of students for each city, and then the index would be that city name itself. And here we have used this city underscore count dot index. So here we are able to see those indexes, right, which are city name, and here we have provided city underscore counts dot values. So it is showing us the count, and like this we are able to get that from which city how many students are there. From Mumbai we have 5, from Delhi we have 4, and accordingly you can visualize the data. Here we have provided this title, x label, y label to show the more details, like title, x label here and y label here. You can use this tight underscore layouts to get more proper chart, and they show to show the plot. And after that we saw some bonus concepts where we have used this xlim and ylim to zoom out to the specific graph. Like here we have provided left and right value so that our graph is zoomed between 2 to 5 only. Similarly, by using this ylim, we can provide bottom and top value so that only those values will be appearing into your graph. So it is kind of zooming in into the graph. And after that we saw one more concept, which is axhline and axvline, where we were able to draw the reference line onto our plot. So here we have used this data to plot this particular graph, and then we have provided this axhline, which creates a horizontal reference line, where we need to provide that at what point we want to draw this horizontal reference line. So at this y position 40 we wanted to draw this horizontal reference line, where we have provided color, line style and label. So here we have taken the example that 40 was our sales target, so that's why we have drawn this particular line. And similarly we can draw the vertical line by using this xvline, where we can provide the x value that at which particular point we want to draw the vertical line. So here at x value 3 we wanted to draw this vertical line, where we can provide more arguments like color, line style, and then we have added this title. And remember, whenever you are using this label with any of the graph or any of the functions, so in that case do not forget to provide this plt.legend. And then we have shown the graph, and here we are able to see all the details. And after that, we have seen one more concept, which is annotate, which is to highlight the specific point into the graph. So for that, we have created the sample data. We have plotted it using this x and y data. And here we wanted to highlight the highest point. So for that, we have used this plt.annotate. Here we have provided this text that what we want to annotate, right? You can provide any text. And then you need to provide xy value, that what exactly you want to highlight. So here we wanted to highlight this 3,40, which is having highest value, right? This 40 is the highest value at the x position 3. And then we have added this xy text, that at which position we want to show this text. So we wanted to show this text at 3.5 x value and 39, or we have also provided 35 previously. So at this point, this text would be appearing. After that, we have provided one more argument where we can provide this draw, which will be pointing to the specific point from the text. So if you will shift this text position using this xy text, so accordingly this arrow will also rotate with your text. And to do so, you need to use this arrow props equals to, and its value will be a dictionary. You can use any one of the way, where you need to provide this key as the face color and its value as any color. And then we have provided a title and show to show the specific plot. And guys, that is Matplotlib. From your very first plot all the way to the professional dashboards and real-world Pandas integration. You now know how to create line charts, how to build bar charts, use scatter plots, understand histogram, create pie charts, build subplots, style chart professionally, and work with Pandas data. You started with a single graph, and now you can build full professional visualization using Python. And now you need to practice consistently, because visualization is one of the most important skill in data science, AI, analytics, and automation. And now that's it from my end. You can click onto this first card to go to the next video. You can click onto the second card to access this whole AI engineering course. And stay tuned for my upcoming videos. If you have any comments, questions, or doubts, you can let me know into the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.